Welcome to Empirical P-Pod. I'm your host, Tim Dave. Thank you so much for continuing this journey with me, where I get to sit and talk to all my favorite people. You guys remember the drill. Don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, whatever is going on out there. Let's get into today's episode. Yeah, well, nobody's ever ready, and I'll probably make some stupid joke because I'm always bad with my married friends. Because I'm like, dude, we're here with Gina Lynch. And they're like, oh, it's Gina Halder. But I've also known you longer than probably anybody that we know.
Yeah.
Which I think people might be surprised to know.
Yeah.
But we are here with Gina Halder.
Hi.
Hello. Appreciate you finding the time sitting down with me.
Yeah, it worked out. Thanks for having me.
Well, you're welcome. It's still too early to tell if it's good.
Erase, delete,
Yeah.
start over. I'll leave.
Tune in next week. We'll see.
I'll see myself out.
But I had just alluded to the fact that I've known you a long time, which means I know for a fact that you did not start in Oswego.
No, I didn't.
So take us to the beginning.
Way back, I was born in Hinsdale, but we've always lived in that area, so like we jumped around. I just recently found out that my parents didn't know that they could renew a lease, so we moved. Yeah, which is insane. I'm like, who was your realtor? What happened?
So funny.
Why? So we lived in like
They have a realtor? I mean, realistically,
I don't. But
a
even
lease sounds like you're renting, right?
yeah, so maybe like a
sometimes you
property
don't even have-
manager.
yeah.
But I'm like, did nobody ever say, do you want to renew?
I just
your
like the idea that
lease?
every year they're like, we have to leave.
They packed up their stuff with little kids and moved around.
Yeah.
So I remember our house in Bolingbrook. I don't think we lived in Joliet, but we lived in Naperville. That was the last place we lived in.
When did you live in Naperville?
90 through 92 or like 91 to 93 or something like that. Yeah, off Deal Road in those townhouses, like when you're getting onto 88.
Yeah,
But-
I actually that's a nice area.
Yeah, it is nice. It was nice.
Yeah, but cause I lived in Naperville during that time also.
Okay.
Literally those exact years.
That's crazy.
Because I came in '94, the same year you
Yeah.
did to Oswego.
Yeah.
That's wild. I mean, I was on the way opposite end of Naperville.
Okay. Yeah. I went to Longwood Elementary, and we were in line to go to Wabanzi High School.
See, we would have met in Wabanzi.
Yeah.
I think I would have switched after a year or two to Nikowa.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
wild. There is one person who we went to school together, and we did end up going to school together again in high school. Yeah, but I went to Catholic school when I lived in Bolingbrook with my cousins, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I was always in that area. It was always in like that surrounding area. Man, I can't remember.
Did it feel like, because that's realistically a lot of moving around.
Yeah.
Did it feel less because it wasn't necessarily that far?
I don't remember
Yeah.
a lot of elementary school.
Were you a social kid?
I don't know. I think so. I remember playing with the neighborhood kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was pretty social. And I'm like, is there trauma in there? But I
Yeah.
think I just bounced around. I think just moving that much. I
like
don't
the
really
idea
remember.
that periodically you're like, there's got to be trauma
Is
in
there
me
trauma?
somewhere.
Maybe.
I feel like my life's been pretty good.
My life has been awesome.
Yeah.
But, so, I don't know.
What do you think? So you're also one of three, so I feel like you've got a
Yeah.
nice little group
Yeah.
built in.
was the best.
You guys are really close in age.
Yeah. Catherine was born 2 years and 3 months after. And then Phil was born, I'm 6 years older than him. So 4 years young. He was 4 years younger than Catherine.
Yeah.
So it was a big jump, like for us, like a bigger jump. But yeah, we basically grew up. Catherine and I were in school together all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
1 year in
pretty
junior high and 2 years in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's nice, and I feel like it eases. So no matter where you guys move around, you've got a little group, no
we
matter
had
what.
each other.
So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys end up in Oswego in '94.
I think it was 93. I don't. It
It's
was
possible. It might be that school year, '93 to
maybe?
'94.
I was in 5th grade. I'm trying to think. Maybe it was 94. I don't know.
Well,
Like I said, trauma. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, all the bouncing.
I know because we built our house in
the hell was it called?
Fox Chase.
Fox Chase.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, you guys moved in before, so it must have been
Yeah,
94.
because we had to build at that time. That was as far as Fox Chase went.
Yeah.
We built
and it
that
kept
house.
going in that direction.
And when you guys moved in, that was already because did you build that house? I think you
Yes.
guys moved into it.
Yeah, that was my parents' first house, and they built it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting is how long did you guys stay in Fox Chase?
We were there. My parents till I was a senior, so 02. But we didn't move until after I graduated.
Right.
I feel like. So yeah, I think 02.
Because that's
Maybe
how
01.
we
Yeah,
met.
02.
Is we rode the bus.
Yeah, we rode the
And
bus
then
together.
because after you were in 5th grade, because I was in 6th grade.
Yeah.
And then we went to Traver.
Yeah.
And we rode the bus together for all those years.
Yeah.
What I'm always curious about too is though, I didn't actually know you had siblings at that time. Mm-hmm. And it's actually a really nice neighborhood also.
Yeah.
Especially back then. Like
I loved
there was a lot
it.
of kids there too.
It was
I don't know if you played with
amazing.
all the other kids there.
The kids next door, the Nippenberg, our neighbors next door, they were basically the same ages as us. They had 3 kids, so
It's
we
okay,
were
it's
together.
in a positive light.
I'm sorry, yeah.
She's gonna try so hard to not
to
name
not say
anybody.
names. Sorry. No, it was wonderful. It was the whole street was a bunch of younger kids, and it was the 90s. So my mom worked in the summer when we were off school. My mom worked. Her summer schedule was 6:30 a.m. until 12:30 p.m. and she just told the neighbor adults who were also around, and she's like, "I'll be back at 12:30," and we would just house hop or
them
go
alive.
outside. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And we did. We were fine.
That was
We
those
were
last
alright.
remnants of kind of that 80s mentality that we grew up with originally.
It was the best. We were crazy. We would build forts out of the leftover construction materials
There
over
was
the weekend.
so much of it too,
It
because
was
they were building
nuts.
houses like crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So much fun.
Oh my gosh, we used to go around and sell lemonade to the construction workers, and we'd make $50, and we'd go downtown Oswego and blow it all.
Did you
on
guys
Beanie Babies.
ever walk downtown?
We rode our bikes. Yeah.
Yeah. But when I look at it now, I'm like, this is a hell of a trek.
That's what I talked to. She's like, would you ever let your kids do that? I'm like, probably not.
Yeah.
I don't think so, because we had to cross that busy street. What is that?
Luckily they built, that was when there was still a bridge only.
Yes!
And then they finally built the crosswalk.
Crazy. It's crazy.
I remember my first day of school, me and Dave Janowski became friends, and we would walk home from junior high, and him and I would hang out under the bridge.
Oh, you crazy.
And we would find scraps and try to make fishing gear out of it, and
that's awesome.
It was so stupid. It was
I
fun.
loved hanging out there.
Dude, and I remember because Luke lived in the subdivision on the other side, and him and I would cut through the river to go to downtown.
I
which
can't
is
believe
insane.
the stuff that we did. I'm like, we made it out alive, hanging out in the freaking Fox River.
Yeah, the grossest place.
Insane. I'm glad we didn't get sucked into the river.
I'm always I'm reminded of George Carlin used to joke because he grew up in New York and they would go into this gross sewage river to cool off. And he's like, but we never got sick or anything because we were tempered in raw shit. And I'm like, that's kind of
so gross. We have
So
really good
gross.
immune systems, and
Yeah.
we didn't know any better. Nothing was labeled, so we just moved on.
Yeah.
Yeah, just brush it off, shake it off. You're fine.
Yeah. Now, what I'm curious though too is, although we rode the bus and you were literally less than a block away from my house, we didn't hang out.
We did not hang out.
Fox Chase.
No.
For being so close to age, because I remember on my street, my friend Allison, the Mole Sex lived down there. Even Aubrey over at the end of the other street, we all hung out.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, she lived at the very front.
Yeah, she was at the very first house when you would come in.
Yeah.
It was crazy because we were all you were only you're only 1 year younger than I am, right? But we would all hang out.
Yeah,
We
you
would play
guys were
Ghost in the
way
Graveyard
older than me in my head.
It felt
I
like
think.
it. Not for nothing. I was gonna say that. I feels like that.
Yeah.
Even though it's probably less than a year.
Yeah, probably.
But it's just that they were the same age and Allison was older, so it seemed cooler.
Yes.
And we're not hanging out with this baby.
No.
Who's 6 months younger than us.
Yeah, well, and I had two Phil was really young.
That's true. Yeah. If you would have been palling around with the smaller kids too.
Maybe. Yeah.
Realistically, though, I feel like Kathy's little brothers are probably his age.
Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah. How old is Kathy?
She's my age.
Okay, she seems like a teenager. Like
Yeah.
way too old, like driving
Yeah.
cars, way
Not
too
for
old
nothing.
for me hanging out.
Those women were amazing.
Yeah.
And I feel so lucky to have grown up with
that's
them.
awesome.
Yeah, they're so cool. And I feel lucky that I'm still, the Moloseks are close with my family in general.
That's cool.
And I still talk with Allison and stuff. Been trying to get Aubrey on the show, but she lives in Texas and has a huge, or not a huge family, but she has a bunch of kids.
Yeah, she does.
Like people do.
Yep, a gaggle. I have a memory of you on the bus. Did Zach ever ride the bus?
He did.
Okay,
Yeah.
I remember a day when we had a substitute bus driver,
Yeah.
and there used to be speed bumps on Mill Road, or maybe it was, I don't remember, where were these speed bumps? But
Might have been middle when the construction
yeah,
traffic
oh,
was still
maybe
there.
you convinced the bus driver to lay on the gas, and you guys were flipping over the seats.
Yeah.
That was so funny. Oh man,
It makes
that
me
was
laugh because
hilarious.
I'm a bus monitor now.
Oh my gosh.
So like my job is to not let the kids have fun.
Oh.
But like the stuff we used to do on that particular bus was insane. Like we used to just fight.
There were
I bet Aubrey still has a bald spot in her head from where I ripped out a chunk of her hair.
Oh my gosh, what is wrong with you?
I did it on purpose. Like she was beating the hell out of me. But like we used to just fight. I guess today you'd probably call it flirting.
Oh, no, I think that's outdated as well.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
It's definitely traumatic.
That's trauma.
Here we are.
It's the trauma.
That's today's theme. Trauma.
Trauma. No, not too much.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's wild. I don't
wild.
remember fighting on the bus.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get in trouble. I never wanted to get in trouble.
That's probably a little later too, like after junior high. That might have been when we were already a freshman. But it was rough though too because at that time when you were in 6th grade, when you were junior high in general, the bus shuttled to the high school.
Oh.
So when we were 11 and 12, we were still having people that were like 18 on the bus.
Is that what it was?
It was,
Man,
yeah.
I don't, because Oswego was tiny.
It was
then.
so tiny.
Oh,
I remember, because I remember Jose lived in Fox Chase.
Yes, yes.
Which nobody calls him that, I learned, because I worked with his sister-in-law.
Okay.
They just called him Joey since high school.
Oh, so he was in high school. Yeah, because he was one of those kids I was like, he's way too old. Like,
Yeah.
No.
I feel like they were just better adults. Like
Maybe.
they shifted better.
Maybe.
And a lot of our group was like, there's adults in there, but
I'm a child.
a lot of us are like, we're still stupid. But we would walk because we're like shuttling anyway, so we would just walk over.
Oh, you're too cool.
And we got yelled at
Oh, yeah.
and accused of smoking cigarettes.
How could you?
We didn't. That's why it was funny. It's like, it's just ridiculous. Did you ever feel like not a burden, but like, and then maybe not stuck's the right word either, but like you had to kind of take care of your brother and sister?
No. I don't think so.
You just liked having the group?
No, I was always a little mama when Phil was born. He was my baby. I fed him, and I liked changing his diapers and taking care of him. So maybe I was stuck
You think that's
with
where
that,
your
but
maternal nature comes from? Clearly,
maybe
it makes sense.
Maybe I don't
We
know.
pulled that thread because your mom, like you said, worked,
Yeah,
and your dad also worked
yeah.
because your dad was a policeman.
He was a policeman.
Was your mom? Your mom wasn't a nurse originally.
No, so my mom was like, I don't know. She worked outside the home, but she was mainly a stay-at-home mom. And then I think eventually she had to start working. She started tending bar at night, and then during them trying to get the Fox Chase house, I think she got this job at Fox Valley Dialysis doing like office work. And then when I went to college, she said, I think I want to go back to school and be a nurse. And I was like, you should totally do that. She's like, I don't think I can. I was like, Mom, you're like, she's like, it's going to take, at the time she thought it was going to take maybe like 6 or 8 years because you have to do your clinicals. And she, like, with working, it was going to take a long time. She later found out you can only do clinicals. You can't do both at the same time. I don't know if it's like a legal thing, but it was like the time-wise. She's like, I have to complete it in this time frame. And I was like, well, in 8 years, are you going to want to be a nurse? And she said, yeah. I was like, well, then friggin' do it.
Yeah.
The time is going to go by.
That's
if you want to be a nurse,
that's
be
a
nurse.
critical point that I've been really thinking about a lot lately too is like the time's gonna go by.
Time's gonna go by.
Like 8 years is gonna pass regardless. Do you want to be
Yes.
somewhere that you can pivot at any second if you want to?
Seriously.
Like just go for it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. It was a huge sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because my parents paid for my school, and they
Right.
paid for Catherine's school, and they offered to pay for Phil's school. So they wanted to cash flow my mom's school as well. So I think they worked extra hard and stashed cash away because during clinical she couldn't work at all. So
Yeah.
she was. Those years I remember because we were both in college at the same time, and she was always at the kitchen table with all of her books out and her laptop open, and I was like, oh man, she's like really going. She's really going for it. But she was studying all the time, but she did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you feel like you kind of, not that you had to fill that role, but that it was just like there was no picking up of slack or
I
anything?
don't think so.
Yeah.
That was just how our family was. My mom and dad like always did what they had to do, so
Right.
it was just like natural. It's
Yeah.
just like what we did. So I don't know. But my parents, they did not go out.
Right.
They weren't going out on dates. They were too broke, and like that's
Yeah.
again something they just didn't do. We were either all together or my parents were at work, pretty much. So
Yeah,
I
not for
don't
nothing. There's
know.
a family dynamic. There's a specific family dynamic of the Lynches. Like I've been lucky enough to be
Yeah.
adjacent to it a lot because it's certain people that I've been around. I'm like, oh, this is what a normal family's like the Walshes.
Yeah.
Like not for nothing, your family's like that where they like genuinely love each other and take care of each other, and it's so foreign to me, which is silly, but it's one of those things where I can look at throughout my life and be like, okay, this is what it's supposed to look like. It still makes me uncomfortable.
Sorry.
And no, it's not your fault. It's nice to have because I've spent very limited amount of time around it.
Yeah.
So it gives me normalcy to be like, oh, okay, this is kind of awesome. Like I've been lucky, like even like when I live with Lindsay and stuff, like to be around better people. And I've had ex-girlfriends that have had amazing parents.
Yeah.
Like so, it's cool to kind of see those dynamics. And like I said, Dan's family is also amazing. But so being able to look at my own life and be like, oh, this is not normal.
Yeah.
And look at somebody else and be like, oh, this is what it's like when everybody actually is on the same page and likes each other. This is weird.
I wish that it was normal. I don't know if it is normal, but it's a choice that my parents made.
Yeah.
They both came.
Well, normal is such a subjective idea.
Sure.
For you guys, it's normal.
For us,
and
it's
not for
normal.
nothing. If we post certain threads, it's got its own challenge. I don't want people to think,
Of course.
that it's Gina's life is perfect.
Yeah,
it's got its own set of challenges.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I think that I don't want to. There's a lot of families that aren't put together like ours. I don't know. I don't want to like brag about my family. We love each other very much, all of us.
Yeah.
It is. I think it's what people hope is normal.
Right.
Maybe.
I think if you think of stereotypical, I think there's a lot of that dynamic in there.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing, but anyways, I think it's actually kind of awesome.
It is. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Was did your mom always want to be a nurse, or was there?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good
Yeah.
question. I have no idea.
Really? You never thought about it?
No.
So.
She'll listen to this though. Hey, Mom. Drop it in the comments.
Yeah. Well, I've always been curious because I know Catherine was born with cystic fibrosis, right? Because I'm always curious if that was something that at some point she pivoted to be
I
like,
don't know.
oh, this is going to be a thing. If I can do a lot of this, or at least help in some way. I can't believe you never thought of that.
Whoops. I'm a thoughtless daughter.
This is what happens when you raise nice, normal
Yeah,
kids.
an ungrateful
They don't look
sack of
past
shit.
their own lives.
No, I don't know if she always wanted to be a nurse. I actually have no idea. Maybe
Yeah.
it sparked something.
In the
her.
story, I've decided that's how she got into
Okay.
it.
I'm so happy for you. It totally makes sense. Just
Yeah.
all the pieces just fell into place.
Yeah. I'm telling a nice narrative here.
That
I'm
is a
building
nice
good
narrative.
story.
No.
It might be not in each. I hope she
don't
does
know.
comment on it, or
I
at least
don't know.
tells you.
Yeah.
And then you can tell me, because I've always been curious about that, because it seemed to kind of line up that way.
Yeah.
Where, because you said that was, when things might have been getting a little spicier.
Yeah. Okay, so going back to my mom's career path, my parents are very logical.
Yeah.
So, to go back a little bit, I don't want to speak too much for them, but both of them came from very rough childhoods.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they decided that
That's like you said, they made a choice.
They made a choice.
This is what we want,
Yes.
and that's obviously you have to try to make those decisions every day
Yes.
to then live that.
Yeah, so they of course faced challenges early on in their marriage, just with Catherine being born with CF and being broke and just trying to make ends meet. But then they also, like, my dad became a cop because of the insurance and the pension. My mom probably looked into nursing because of the rewards down the line.
Yeah.
So it's just, they're very logical. And they looked toward the future. Like, what are we going to need in 10, 20, 30, 40 years?
Right.
So,
well, it's smart, too, because realistically, cops might not make a lot of money up front.
Oh, no.
But you're going to be set up later.
Oh, yeah. My mom cried at his first paycheck.
I'll bet.
He worked multiple jobs while he was a cop.
Same with your mom, where it's like, okay, she's doing whatever needs to be done, and then it's like, all right, but if I go this route, there's a lot of extra benefits.
Yeah. So, she looked... Yeah, I'm sure it was more a logical decision than, like, I don't know what I'll do if I'm not a nurse.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that brings us up to high school.
Yeah.
So once you kind of get into high school, because we're kind of centralized there, and like I said, it didn't seem like you hung out with the same group of kids there. I know it actually, like, it's almost like your house was a whole different world from there.
I know.
Because there was other kids out there, but for some reason, I like to think we're the OGs.
You guys were the OGs.
We were the first actual neighborhood.
Do you remember when you moved in? Because we moved in January.
It was...
So maybe it was 95. That would actually make sense because I was born in 84.
Yeah. I moved there in 94. But we were building the house, so school had already started, and we were living in a condo in Naperville.
Okay.
And we had to get busted, because I remember when Dave and I hung out, we hung out at the condo.
Okay.
We had to drive him back home. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because he was also building the amazing Janowski compound
Yeah.
way in the back of the world.
That place is awesome.
That place is awesome.
Maybe it was 95 in January.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
There's no way it was January 94.
Yeah. I remember I transferred in the middle of 5th grade, and I was upset because we were in the DARE program, and they were about to graduate at the new school, and I was upset because I skipped a bunch of the classes, and someone was like, "You're gonna graduate anyway, don't worry about it." I was like, "That's not the point. I didn't learn the material."
Did you guys do a DARE play?
Maybe I missed. See, that's what I missed. That's probably what I missed.
Because I did DARE in 5th grade in Naperville before I left, and we did this DARE play. I still will sing parts of it today.
That's hilarious.
And nobody.
No.
I think my sister's the only one who's like, "Hey, dickhead, nobody knows what you're doing." And I'm like, "But danger, caution, warning." No.
No. You want to take a break and do it, though?
It was cool because we wore white gloves and it was a black light.
Stop.
Dude, the DARE play was
Are you serious?
Awesome. Yeah, I would love to. I wish I had it. Because the music teacher there, I think her name was Miss Fry. This is 100 years ago. She gave me a cassette of the DARE play. So it was done professionally. Yes. And I had a copy of it. And I'm like, God damn it, what I would give to still have that and make it well known.
Do it.
I want to have it.
Nobody recorded it for you?
I had it on cassette.
No, I mean your performance, Tim.
Oh, no. I don't know if you remember earlier when I talked about the house I grew up in. Yeah, they didn't. We weren't celebrated like you guys.
No. No, it just reminded me of the kindergarten play that Andy and his class did, and the school recorded it.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. The school might have it.
Maybe
they have some archive.
Maybe
somebody there actually loved children.
Call the school. You'd be surprised. Andy was saying he wanted photos from his school days. So for one of his birthdays, I think I just emailed the principal at the school, and he was like, "Yeah, that sounds awesome. I'll get some pictures together for you." And we made a time, and I go there, and it was a full shelf of albums and albums.
That's what you just said is insane for two things. One, that was an option. Two, that you thought you could just do that.
that I could just email. Well, I mean, they could tell me no.
It goes back to what you said about your parents. And they don't think about what needs to be done. They do what needs to be done.
Well, yeah, you just.
So you're not looking at logistics of things. You're just like, oh, you want these things, and they probably have them.
Maybe not.
The rest of us are like, oh, that would be cool. Shucks.
It was awesome.
And you're like, I guess I'll be the dick who reaches out and bothers everybody.
Maybe, I feel like Andy kind of thinks that way too. But I'm always the one who's like, well, literally, what is the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah, for sure.
The worst thing was for them to not get back to me at all, and then I would just call them. But the worst thing for them would be like, how could you ever?
Yeah, the worst thing with them, how dare you?
In an angry email, and I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
I'll email somebody else.
Did you feel the shift when you went to high school, kind of leaving your sister, because you would have just started junior high?
Yeah.
And Phil would have been way back there.
Yeah, he was little.
Did it feel different? Like, did you, not that you saw them every day anyways, but it was like kind of feeling like you're on your own?
Yeah, totally. She had already established like a really good core group of friends in junior high.
Yeah.
And I think I had started to branch off into my own group of friends. But even getting into high school, it was just the introduction of more people and kind of like, oh, maybe I want to be, a little closer to these people. And so, yeah, I established a really good group of friends in high school. But, yeah, it did feel separate from Catherine, but I don't know if it was, probably the age and school difference, but she had her own.
Because you guys have the same age difference, I think, of Sarah and I, so it was pretty close.
Is Sarah a year younger than Catherine, or are they the same?
She was born in 85.
Oh, she's older.
Okay, so Catherine's born in 86.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's still a year, yeah. But I'm a year older than you.
Older than me, yeah.
And then my sister's a year older than your sister, so it's still pretty close. Yeah.
But is that what it felt like to you, too?
We never crossed paths ever, and we never had any of the same friends.
Oh.
For as close as we were in age, not at all.
That's crazy. This might be a separate episode. How did her and Little Wash start dating then?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that now, because we're going to play a little future here. You don't know this.
Oh, boy.
But I already recorded an episode with them.
Oh, yay!
And by the time we're having this conversation
yay,
that
don't
people
tell me
hear,
then.
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
But everybody has already heard it by the time this goes live.
Hilarious.
So you'll have your answer already.
Yay! Thanks, Sarah and Little Walsh. Mike. Sarah and Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I will
so
tell
cute.
You, I'll give you hashtag spoilers.
Don't. I don't like to.
Okay, great.
Because I'm gonna listen. Like if I know I'm gonna watch a movie, I don't want to watch the trailer.
Yeah, even better. I love that actually because usually I love artsy indie films, and I'm always like, don't watch the trailer. It's just gonna ruin it for you. Just go in and watch it.
I already know I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah,
I don't need a spoiler.
Fair enough. Good.
Aw, thanks for respecting that.
What's that? I don't like when things get ruined.
Yeah, I think we just kind of had different friends. She literally, she had her own stuff going on. She was with her own friends.
It's one of those things too. I think it's easy to forget that despite being close and, you take care of your sister and whatever, they're still their own person. Yeah. And Catherine had a very big personality.
Yeah. Huge. Yeah.
Yeah. But so when you start establishing yourself then closer, but you never lost that maternal instinct of, you're always taking care of the younger kids.
A little bit. Well, in high school, geez, I don't know. I think Phil, maybe. Yeah, like after school, like make sure he came home and off the bus and stuff.
It's always important that kids make it home.
Are you alive? Did you make it?
Yeah.
No, it was cool. I remember, actually, no, that's a different story. Yeah, I don't know. We did we did OITF, so I was in cheer through 8th grade, like 7th and 8th grade, and Catherine did POMs for what, 5th
Is there
through
a
8th?
difference between those two?
Between what? Cheer and POMs?
POMs and
Cheerleaders cheered during the game, and POMs did a dance.
They do like a routine.
In the middle, what is it, intermission?
Halftime, I think.
Halftime.
I don't know what sports ball does.
Halftime, yeah. Sports ball. Yeah, halftime. So that's what the POMs did. So she did like a dance.
Yeah.
So for 2 of the games. So Phil was the youngest. So the way that OATF was set up at the time, he had like was in the first or second game. Catherine palmed for the last 2 games, and I cheered for the last game. So we were just there all day long.
You guys do that all through high school?
No, it ended in 8th grade,
Okay,
and
I
I
was just
tried out
junior
for
high.
cheer, and I didn't make it. But I would still go to Catherine's games.
Yeah.
So until I was maybe a sophomore, and then I think I got a job in junior year that, you know, like I couldn't go to all his games, but we were together. Like I said, we were pretty much together all the
Yeah.
time.
Your parents go to the games and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Like you guys all went as a family?
Yeah.
It's weird. It's just
Unless my
weird.
dad had to work. My dad did start in high school. My dad did start working nights,
Right.
so that made things a little harder. Like there were just holidays he had to miss.
Yeah.
But he was there. Like he was there for us in the morning.
Was he an Oswego cop?
No, he was
Okay.
DuPage.
Okay. so,
No,
yeah.
he was there while Shoger was in DuPage.
Is that true?
Yeah, at the dinner table, we're like, be real cool if you let my drug dealer out of jail. So
Yeah.
we're just slammed onto the plate. Gina, Rose. Like
funny.
I'm just being honest, Dad.
Were you
Can help me
shocked
out.
when he laid out his whole life and everything he's done?
Oh my
earlier
gosh,
this season?
Sugar just blows my mind. How like freely he doesn't give a fuck about
Yeah.
anything, and we'll talk about anything. Like, man,
I
that
admire that guy a
confidence,
lot.
I love that
He's
about
pretty amazing.
him. I love.
Also, he's
wish-
just a good dude. Like,
Yeah, I know. He's
Because like stare to me,
yeah.
be like, what a scumbag.
No.
Be like, no, this is like one of the best dudes I've ever met.
Maybe on paper, I don't know. No, I'm glad I know him. He's cool. He's a cool guy.
And he's handsome.
He's a handsome guy.
He's too tall though.
Too tall for your taste.
Yeah. That's funny that I didn't realize that your dad was a DuPage cop.
Yeah,
and
he was
had,
in DuPage.
Run-ins with some of our less desirables.
No Oswego. No Oswego.
That's good because a lot of those cops were jerks.
Oh my god.
Except for Officer Subtle.
I liked Officer Sutton, yeah. I do remember that name. Yeah, the Oswego cops. The famous ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you were in high school and kind of going through, and obviously you're transitioning and all the stereotypical high school stuff, getting your own group of friends, coming into who you are, did you have an idea of what you wanted to do bigger and once you got out of high school, or did you just kind of focus on getting through high school?
I think, well, I always wanted to be a mom. I always
Right.
wanted to be a wife and a mom, always. So it sounds bad because I do have a job, but like I've never, what is my passion? I want to be able to pay my bills and be
Right.
present for my family.
Well, I think that's
So,
actually, like, I'm not a career person.
yeah.
There's just nothing that I'm like, I'll do this for 30 years.
Yeah.
I just want to make enough money to pay my bills and live comfortably.
Yeah.
And enjoy my actual life.
Yeah.
And like, as long as I don't want something that's like I hate to do, I just can't.
It's not, Miss Scapino once said, if I could teach for free and live for free, I would do it in a second. And that resonated with me. And I was the first person in my family on my dad's and my mom's side to go to college, and my parents offered to pay for it. And I think, like, I'm sure you know this, like everyone our age, like this generation just has massive student debt. Like we were just expected to go to college. My grandfather was an iron worker and the trades were brought up to me, but like, I'm not gonna be an iron worker.
That'd be amazing if you were an iron worker.
I should have been.
Yeah.
Man.
Not for nothing. I mean, Maggie's out there being
Killing
a
it.
plumber, being an
I
absolute
know, the
badass.
trades are where it's at.
Yeah.
My oldest tells me she wants to either be a realtor with mommy or do hair with Heather. And I was like, I can afford both of those schools.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Do that. But so I think it was just that I was expected to do something. I wasn't just going to like graduate and be married off.
Right.
So when I started going to college, I thought I wanted to be a teacher, and then I just didn't. I just didn't anymore.
Is that what you went to college for?
I started to, and then I changed my major to sociology.
Yeah. Did you go straight to, because I know you went to Northern.
I started at Wabansie,
Okay.
and I got my associates, and then I moved out to DeKalb and did the rest of the school at NIU.
Yeah.
Got
So
my
I've lived there
bachelor's.
off and on for since 06.
Yeah.
So we've crossed paths a lot.
Yes.
Man, a lot in life in general, actually. It's actually kind of funny.
I know.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't think people realize that we grew up next to each other,
Like
and
this, just
then
right
literally
along
our
each
paths
other.
are pretty parallel. Mm-hmm. So when you switched into sociology, did you finish? Did you get a degree in sociology?
I got a degree in sociology, and then I did nothing.
I was like,
with
no, there wasn't
it.
a plan with that.
No, because you have to pretty much get your master's to do anything worth well, I don't want to say worthwhile. I'm not like dragging anybody
You just
down,
had your bachelor's?
Yeah, I just had my bachelor's.
You never went back after that?
No, I didn't. I wanted to be done with school. I'm like, man, I've been in school since I was 5.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Were you able to focus on school? While still being like, because that's like,
no, I worked.
not that your house was stifling in any means, but it's your first taste of freedom, like living out on your own, being away. Like DeKalb is not away, but it's far enough where you can have your own existence.
Oh yeah.
Outside of your little scope of normalcy.
Yeah.
Did you explore that? Do you feel, or were you just like
probably not as much? I was home a lot.
Right.
Like I wanted to like hang out with my family.
You stupid loving people.
But like I did even I lived in a townhouse. You've been there.
Yeah,
I had a washer and dryer in my unit, but I would just like bring my quote unquote bring my laundry.
There was
home.
a lot of times during that time I was backpacking / homeless and was staying various places. So I'd always catch a ride with you back to Oswego.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
And you're like, like on a Friday, and then like, I'm going home Sunday, and be like, I'll be there.
Yeah, Friday I would go out. So I did not have time to focus on school. I partied my ass off, and I worked 2 or 3 jobs consistently all the time.
I remember you having multiple jobs.
Yeah.
Like, how do you find time to do 3 jobs? And going to school full time and partying full time.
I partied full time.
Like, I feel like we just didn't sleep back then.
It was not necessary. There were times that I worked. Okay, so there was one point in time. It was a 9-month span. This is when I was at Wabanzi, I think. Yeah, I was still going to Wabanzi. So I went to Wabanzi. So I did full time school there, and then I did like Tuesday, Thursday. I was a preschool teacher assistant at the Civic Center, and then I worked. Maybe Tuesday, Thursday, Friday at the Foundry, and then I filled in all the rest of that time with Chili's. And I didn't take a day off for 9 months.
I forgot you came through the Chili's.
The Chili's. I opened up that Chili's.
Yeah, everybody
That's how I
came through
knew.
there.
Like I went to school with Felice, and I went to school with Zach, but me and Felice and Zach were tight at Chili's, and that's how. And then really,
at least a dozen other people came through that.
That's how I know
Chili's.
Adam.
Yeah,
that's how I know Adam Newcomer.
Yaga came through there.
Yep, Yaga did.
So many people.
Yeah, Bloomy worked at Chili's. And I know Courtney DeLeo through the Foundry. I don't know her through school.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting too. I'd say because she's another year older.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Way out of my
league.
league.
The Foundry, Courtney.
Yeah.
She's out of all of our leagues.
Yeah.
She's awesome though.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy. So you were working those jobs. You said you were working those jobs when you were in DeKalb.
I think, okay, so...
Because those are really far away from DeKalb.
No, so I transferred. I got fired from the Foundry.
Did you?
Yeah, Catherine and I both got fired from the Foundry.
You guys worked together?
Yeah.
That's
it was the best.
hilarious.
It was the best.
What did you guys get fired for?
Okay, Catherine got fired because she was painting her nails at the host stand. It was really slow. The Foundry was really slow until like 7:30, 8:30 at night.
Not for nothing though, like the Lynch girls are sweet as pie, but they're mouthy. If you start telling them what to do, and they don't want to hear it.
Okay, no. So this is how I got fired. So first of all, my uncle was the GM. So like, we got shit from him, but then the other managers are like, those are Steve's nieces. So they gave us shit too. Yeah. So I cried before those shifts, but the money was so fat. I made
it was a horrible place.
Yeah, Foundry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and Drew got kicked out one time because Drew climbed the pillars to the ceiling, and I kept pushing their security guards down.
I shouldn't laugh at that.
It's fine.
Oh man, it's so bad. Yeah, so I made so much money there. When I moved out to DeKalb, I transferred to the Chili's at West Aurora with Felice.
Yeah, so she ended up there too.
She ended up there, so she's like, it's kind of better there. Then I was like, all right. So I started working there, which was only like a 23-minute drive from DeKalb because it's right off the highway. And then I made so much money at the Foundry that I worked like once every 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. So I picked up a shift during March Madness, which is like basketball, whatever. And I overslept. I was working only that morning. I picked up a shift. So I was like rushing. I was like whipping on my clothes, and I called and I'm like, I'm late. I'm so sorry. I'm on my way. They're like, well, do you work tonight? And I said no. And they're like, if you're not working tonight, we've got it covered. Don't worry about it. So then I was trying to pick up somebody else's shift. And when I tried to do that, they're like, "Oh, you're fired." And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, you no-showed." I was like, "I did, but nobody told me I was fired." So it wasn't like I was being an a-hole on shift or anything. It was just I no-showed, I guess.
Yeah, but it's still like...
It was shitty.
Yeah, it's silly.
It was crappy.
It's unfortunate.
It was, but...
Good riddance of that.
Whatever. Yeah, it doesn't even
you can make really
anymore.
good money, upwards of probably $400+ a night.
At the foundry?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had guys tip me money to like come sit in my section when a table opened up. It was ridiculous. They would just throw money on my tray, like when I would bring them drinks, just place it on my tray. It was absolutely nuts. It was ridiculous. I'm like, why $20 for bringing you your water? You're welcome. Yeah. It was nuts. It was a different zip code, so it was different.
Yeah,
different
that's
tax
out
bracket.
there in Naperville. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's crazy though in general, just because like, what's the goal there?
At the foundry?
Just like with people that are like the whole. Obviously, you're just
they wanted to take you home.
Right, they're throwing their money around because, and obviously it's like, look at me, I can tip $20 for water. Don't you want to have sex with me?
Ew.
But like, when you break it down, that's what it is, right?
Ew. Yeah.
But it's so gross and weird to think about.
Not my thing. Never. That was never.
It's
never
funny,
worked.
It's funny that, not for nothing, it does work. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. At some point, it worked. It's just
they
weird.
got better service a little bit. They got a little better service.
I bet they got service.
I brought them their stuff first, not from me. No.
Yeah. No. But in general, like, because that's a whole different culture that I don't think most of us enjoy.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, it also, like, you're telling your group of friends, like, I can afford to just throw $80 at this waitress.
That's not something that I'm impressed by.
No, I mean.
You're stupid. This is a waste of money.
I mean, but to them, is it? I don't know.
Like,
they're having a good time.
Yeah.
They're YOLOing, whatever. I had a guy come in one time. We were about to close, and my sales were already great that night. But this guy came in, and he ordered a round of, like, Red Bull and whatever shots. When you add a Red Bull to a shot, it adds the cost of the Red Bull. So he ordered a round of, like, 15. And I was like, hey, I pulled him aside. I was like, just so you know, these are $14.50 a piece. He's like, yeah, I know. I was like, okay.
Wow.
Sounds
also,
good.
I'm full of shit because just yesterday I had a daydream that I was rich and like did something arbitrary, like went into a Taco Bell, but I called them first and was like, what's the budget for today? And then I just gave them that amount of money to shut the building down. And then I went and got my tacos and sent everybody home. So the moral of the story is I'm full of shit. And if I had money, I'd be the same jag-off.
Yeah, but that's not jag-off.
I wouldn't be creepy with the girls, but I'd definitely throw it around.
But in your daydream, you probably paid the employees for the day.
For sure, yeah.
Right? See?
Yeah.
That's not a jerk-off thing to do. That's an awesome thing to do.
The point is, give me money.
Yeah, we like money over here.
Yeah.
Give us the money.
So you transferred to did you just work at Chili's then?
Yeah, then I went down to just Chili's.
Yeah.
My car payment was super low. My rent was $250.
Now, because you didn't live in a dorm.
No, I lived in a townhouse off campus.
Yeah.
So I moved in, I had already had my associates. So I was technically it took me 2.5 to get my associates and 2.5 to get my bachelor's. So it was the 5-year program, but the 5-year plan.
Yeah.
So I think I could have lived in the dorms, but I had a friend who already had a townhouse and they had a room open. So I jumped in for the next year. And then the following year we stayed in the same complex with my current friend. And then someone else moved in with us, Scott, who I met at Chili's. And then my friend moved out and Catherine moved in. And that was horribly fun.
I was like, did she go to school?
No.
She just moved out there just to
party our
just
asses off.
Literally.
We partied so hard. It was not good. It was not a good situation. We realized we were living with an alcoholic. We didn't know because we were in our early 20s.
Well, sure, yeah.
We didn't realize.
Yeah, well, you start seeing the things too, because it's one thing to party every day, but you're still going to work, you're still going to school, you're still getting your stuff done.
Paying our
it's
bills.
a really tough line to notice when you're like, oh, all of a sudden,
this is messy.
They should be at work right now.
This is a little messy.
Yeah, it's definitely a slippery slope.
I don't need to drink to go grocery shopping, though.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go do it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are those little, and it can be tough, though, too, when you feel like, well, who am I to say anything?
Of course.
Unless
Yeah, you're an adult. You're an adult, but like, can you pay rent?
Right. That was like,
can I
know
not drink with you? Like, is it okay if I just don't party Monday night? Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, not for nothing. It's the same time, too, as you're going through your 20s, you're shifting as well.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we've done this for 10 years now, or like 5 years now.
Yeah.
You know, how long are we going to do this realistically?
Yeah, I didn't party until I was, I don't know, 18 or 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, but...
Do you feel like you're a late bloomer?
I wasn't a late bloomer. My dad was a cop.
Right.
I mean, physically, yeah, I was a late bloomer. Thanks, Tim. Yeah, I was a little late bloomer, but I didn't want to get
I didn't drink till I was 26.
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
You know, but I've been around it since I was like 13.
Yeah, that's crazy. I had my first cigarette when I was 9. When I, introduced to that, and I was like, I should not be hanging out with these people.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I came home and confessed everything to my dad.
I was 6, and my dad
But
my dad made me smoke my first cigarette.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he was this is my dad's logic. He was a smoker. I don't know the exact age, but I was told I was like pretty much in diapers. Because his whole point is, if you're gonna try it, I'm gonna make you do it so you see how gross it is. He did that with my brother, and my brother threw up immediately.
Ew.
And then he did it with me, and I smoked the whole cigarette with him out back.
You're like, this is awesome.
And he's
I'm an adult.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, this backfired.
This is a mistake.
Yeah, in retrospect, I'm like, yeah, I don't think you should have kids.
Oh man, it's like when I let my toddler try my coffee. I did that with all my kids. I'm like, go ahead if you want it so badly. And she went to go grab another sip.
Yeah, well, as she's drinking, you're like, you're not gonna get any taller.
Aw, I would love to stunt their growth.
Yeah.
Stay babies forever.
Just stay adorable.
Just stay so cute and tiny. Aww.
That's so funny. One of the things I'm curious is we'd already kind of we definitely mentioned. So Catherine's born with cystic fibrosis, and she partied really hard.
Yeah.
Did that ever not sit well with you? Because you don't want to be mom and like try to police anything, but at the same time, I want to take care of my sister, and I'm worried about her.
Looking back, I should have.
Yeah.
I just had this conversation with my mom. You caught me at a very vulnerable time frame because she died in July and her birthday is coming up.
Yeah.
So this is like smack in the middle.
Not for nothing, I'm in the same because Laura died and her birthday is this month as well.
Yeah, that's right.
So they're so close. It's so weird.
It is weird.
How
that was really unfortunate.
It was unfortunate, and I know we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but like, it bothers me so much because I feel like I never got time to really process Catherine because I was kicked in the balls so fast right after.
Yeah, you were.
Because I really liked, obviously life is life, but Catherine was awesome, and I was lucky enough to spend some time with her.
I know.
And she was really, really cool. Mm-hmm. And then to have her kind of ripped away was stupid.
Yeah, it sucked. Is there tissue? Yeah, I never thought she was going to die from CF, ever.
Now, for those that don't necessarily know, you're not expected to live to a certain age in general.
So for whatever reason, I was I thought that her life expectancy was 18. Yeah. And then during her childhood, I thought it jumped to 40. Right. And then for some reason, I thought it jumped to 60. And I was like, that's stupid.
I thought it stayed 18 to 26.
It did.
Okay. Because when I started kind of looking into it myself, like, because I was getting to know her and stuff like that anyways, I was like, oh, this is crazy. So it felt like a gift. Once you're past that threshold anyways, where you're like, oh, then we're clear.
Yeah, and so that's why she kind of just said yes to everything. She said yes to different facets of partying, and she's also said yes to school trips to Europe and internships in New Mexico and extending that internship in New Mexico, and yes to dating, and yes to traveling, and yes to everything. So she partied, but she extended that was her approach to life. So she just said yes to everything. Like I guess she knew, and I mean my mom and I just had this conversation. She said she wasn't expected to graduate.
Right.
So anything after that was just was a bonus. So
Yeah.
why wouldn't you say yes to
There's
drinking all night
yeah.
with your friends?
Like, exactly. Like,
You
there's
know?
something so free and beautiful about
Yeah.
that. Like, because realistically, we're all, and as humans, the tragedy's built in.
Yeah.
You know, it just happens to be with this one, you have a little clearer path, which fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But I couldn't, I would give anything to have that conversation with her. Just 'cause,
I know.
I just couldn't imagine walking that, like, even as close as the family is and everything, at the end of the day, you're still walking it alone, no matter how
Sure.
amazing everybody around you is.
Yeah.
So I'm always curious about that. But she did party her ass off.
She partied her ass off. She did everything. Yeah, let me be clear.
Also, she was a tiny little lady.
She was teeny tiny, and she
Yeah.
would go shot for shot.
Yeah.
And also like burger for burger with people. She loved food. She loved eating.
Dude,
She loved
yeah.
drinking. She could drink you under the table. She could eat you under. Like she
Yeah.
just packed it in. Yeah,
I'm a
she
big
was-
boy. I could
Yeah.
not believe what she would eat. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Her passion and abundance of food.
Yeah,
The
but then as you
woman.
learn about the stuff, you're like, oh, well, your body doesn't digest food.
Yeah.
So it's not like, going anywhere.
Right. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was the first to. She like drank before me. She smoked weed before me. She
Yeah.
was like dating seriously before me. She just said yes.
Yeah, well, because like we said, you're kind of a late bloomer, just barely.
Yeah.
Not for real, but
Yeah.
your sister has a whole different philosophy on
Yeah,
life.
she
and she's
had
only a
to,
couple
I
years
guess.
older. Yeah, she's just like, why wouldn't I?
Exactly.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine
Yes.
being, because I'm sure they didn't tell her until she was closer to a teenager anyway, where she could start learning herself. But I'm not expected to be here this long anyway. I'm gonna do everything I can.
I think that rebellion came sooner than
Did it?
that. Yeah, I want to say like at least junior high, if not elementary, because she had to do breathing treatments and like she had we called it the vest. I think that's still what it's called, but it would vibrate her, and so she
Yeah.
could cough up all this built up mucus. And she was like, I'm not doing that today. I'm like, but it's your therapy. She's like, so
Yeah.
I don't care.
But it's so hard
Not
even
doing
there
that.
to be like, no, you have to. Be like, I
For
don't.
what?
I don't have to.
Yeah.
Did you know
for
that? I can do
what?
whatever I want.
Well, and even if, if you're expected to live till X amount of time and you do all these therapies and all these treatments, how much longer are you going to live, and what's the quality of that life once you make it there?
Right.
So she's like, forget it.
Yeah.
She did stuff sometimes. She
Yeah.
just didn't do everything every day.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, not for nothing
Can't
too.
blame
Like
her.
I know that her medications were constantly in flux, and things that every doctor has a different opinion. Like it's insane the stuff that realistically your mom had to go through.
Yeah.
Like forget that even like obviously it's most tragic for Catherine because it takes a physical toll and
Yeah.
a mental toll. But then your mom too, who's trying to protect her child and do
Yeah.
the best she can for her. And every dickhead's got a different idea of what would help.
It was a whirlwind,
Yeah.
and she, yeah, you're right. Just every doctor had a different opinion and a different outlook, and it was like, what? This doesn't make any sense. Like, you're a doctor, and my mom said, yeah, they're practicing. They're
Right.
practicing medicine.
It was a practice, yeah.
Like, ugh.
It's funny, I'd never really thought of that
Me either.
until obviously you have to deal with it day in and day out. But you're
Yeah.
like, oh, it is a shit show.
Yeah, it is a shit show. Yeah. So, do I feel guilty about it? Now I do. Yeah. But
Really?
growing, yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. Of course.
So I feel like there was never, I can't imagine there was a time, like, not for nothing, in your relationship, I feel like she's the enabler.
The instigator.
Yeah, definitely the
the
instigator.
instigator. Yeah.
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 Because I don't feel like it would have changed anything. Like, if there's
Probably
somebody who I'm
not.
like, this person did what the fuck they wanted 100%
All
of the
the
time.
Yeah.
Like, and not for nothing, I'm sure that there's been a lot of bumping heads throughout history as well.
With me and her.
Well, just with the family in general.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Catherine.
yeah. She just like smoking cigarettes was just.
Right.
Like, I'm like maybe.
Like, you already can't breathe well.
Right.
What are you
It's
doing?
like maybe just at least switch from the menthol.
Yeah.
Like,
But realistic too, it's like, it's making me feel good now, and I have to live in this now.
Right.
Because I don't know what tomorrow is.
yeah. So I mean, I'm sure she has no regrets. So
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't either.
Yeah. Well, it would make me sad to think that you feel guilty, because I feel
Yeah.
like your whole family got to do and give something to Catherine that and realistically, most of us that knew her and were lucky enough to knew her to a certain level and be close with her, we got to be a part of something.
I know.
And give her something, hopefully, that she received.
Yeah.
And felt.
Yeah, that's true.
And also, like, what a gift to have that in our lives as well.
Yeah.
You know, because it's
too.
definitely, it changed me a lot in how I interact with anybody. I also learned that I was a good dude.
Aww.
I think that was the time when I was like, I was a good person. Because I had a lot of failed relationships where I was like, I think I'm a shitty person.
Aww.
And then, like, and I was only ever friends with Catherine or whatever, but I was like, well, it's just nice to do stuff for somebody. Yeah. I'm actually not a sack of shit.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so she meant a lot to me. She was a really cool person, man.
Yeah, she was awesome.
I'll give anything to have one more conversation.
I know. It's she moved like down the street from us.
Yeah.
And I don't want to cry, like, just because it's loud.
Just because it's loud? That's all right.
It's loud. Yeah. It's rude. It's rude. And she was dating Andy's best friend.
Yeah.
And she moved down the street. Yeah. And, like, she bought her first house. And she was working from home. And I just had a kid. And she was, like, super amped. And
yeah.
She only moved into that place, like, in September. And then she died in July. It just seems...
Yeah.
Shitty. Like, it's just, it's rude. It's very, it's too fast. Like, it was, before she went to the hospital, I'm getting, like, so worked up. I think it was the day before she went to the hospital for the last time. I was like, this is absolutely perfect. That's the name of Tim's band, by the way.
Oh, little plug.
Yeah. If you haven't said it yet, I don't know. But I'm like, this is the best. This is, like... Life does not get better than this. And then for her to just go downhill so fast was really, really crappy. It just like got yanked. Like it just got ripped away so fast.
Which is how most of these things usually go. It's like it feels like the rug's just being ripped from under you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been 6 years now.
Yeah.
Do you feel... are you able to look back at it all and kind of be like... Because like I said, I'm carrying a lot of a similar burden. Obviously, it's very different, and we're not comparing traumas, but it's definitely compounded, and there's stacks on stacks of things. But when I try to look back, I feel like you just said, it was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And if you had to, like, everything was just in order. Everything was like finally you could smile, and there was a weight off your shoulders, and everything felt amazing. Like, that's when you'd want to be like, okay, everybody's gonna be all right. No.
What? Well, maybe I don't understand what you're asking.
Do you feel any, like, to me, I would probably I'd hope to feel less guilty and more recognizing how perfect everything was, and like that's the best time if you have to. That's the best time to kind of, all right, I'm off to the next plane. Obviously, the selfishness is like, no, stay here because we love you.
Yeah, I mean, I do take solace. So something that happened personally for me after she died was I kind of realized or like hoped that there was something else for her.
Yeah.
Because for a long time I was agnostic, and I'm not like saying anything against anybody or their beliefs or anything. But I was agnostic for a very long time, and then after she died, I'm like, well, she has to be existing somewhere else, right? And Andy is not like super duper related. He's Christian, and he's like, yeah, she's healed. She's completely healed, and she is. And I'm like, well, can she breathe okay? And he's like, she doesn't breathe. Yeah. She's fine. Her existence is perfect. And I was like, well, is she? If there is a heaven, it breaks my heart that she's alone. And he's like, well, she's not alone. Yeah. All of us are there with her. I'm like, hold on. I need to look into this. So I did have to like dive into that a little more. So I do take some solace in that she is okay.
Really, she's better than she's ever been.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm still like working on accepting that. I wish that she could have had that here.
Yeah. I think that's one of the most amazing parts is, from the outside looking in, it's hard to reconcile that, and it's hard to kind of find that peace because you're like, no, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
It's not okay. I want to be in somewhat of a control here.
Yeah.
This sucks.
Yeah.
But when you get to a certain level of comfortability with somebody where they open up, you're like, this person's genuinely at peace.
Yeah.
Like, this person is fucking incredible on a level I never even realized.
I know.
Like, they are just the grace and the sheer, like, just strength of character. We're like, God damn, dude. Like, yeah, we are losing an absolute fucking treasure.
Yeah, that was really hard. Excuse me, oh my gosh. Yeah, that was really hard to see her on hospice and to just realize that it was the end. That part was so crushing.
Yeah. Well, it sucks too because, like, her whole life has been in and out of hospitals.
Yeah.
And everything is like, it becomes almost so normal where you're like, all right, it's just another one of these things, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, and then you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah, she had this really awesome procedure. Well, it was supposed to be really awesome. It was like the 35th one she'd had on that area of her body.
Yeah.
And it was like, so she had that in July she died in 2018. So in 2017, and if my mom listens to this, she'll be like, wrong.
I'm gonna have your mom on the show.
You
fact
should. I
check
wish you would.
everything you've said.
I wish you would. Yeah, my mom and my dad. That'd be so cool. But in December, I remember we were at like a ladies' Christmas thing at Meg's house, and she's like, "Feel this," and she kind of like pushed out a little bit. It felt like a disc. It felt like a frothing disc. And I'm like, what is that? And she's like, I don't know. They're saying it's gas. I'm like, what? And she's like, well, when I wake up in the morning, it's not there. Or like it's there, but it's like surfaced or like leveled out. And then all through the day, it pokes out more and more and more all day. And yeah, it's gas. It ended up being, what is that? A hernia? Yeah, it ended up being a hernia. So by the time they said, oh, she's like, it feels like a hernia. I think it's a hernia. And they're like, no, change your diet. It's inflammation.
Yeah.
It's this. It's not a hernia. And then by the time, like, she had gotten double pneumonia through the winter. And when she got sick, it just lasted forever. So by the time they saw her in the hospital, it was either late, I think it was early June. They were like, oh, yeah, it is a hernia. And she was like, cool, can you take it out? And they're like, you're too sick to operate. You're going to have to go on hospice. She's like, what?
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that really sucked. I'm still very angry. I'm still very much in the anger step of grief. I'm still very upset with them about that.
Well, I don't know that that'll ever subside just because, like, it's funny, too, because when you enter somebody's life that lives that life, you come in and you're like, you can't help but have this arrogance about you. Like, you don't mean it, but you're just like, well, have you tried this?
Yeah.
You're like,
have you tried turning it off and on again?
And you're like, I've only been living it for 30 years. Please don't talk to me about my disease.
Right? Oh my gosh, so annoying, but...
Yeah, and it comes from a genuine place, but just shut up.
Just shut up. Can you, I mean, just like, I don't know how you determine if it's a hernia, but like, can you just see if it's a hernia?
Yeah, that's crazy because it sounds like if they would have went that route in the first place, we might be having a very different conversation.
Exactly, but maybe not. Maybe it just would have been prolonged for a couple years, you know.
Which is probably realistically true. It's a degenerative disease.
Exactly, and I think COVID would have been really hard on her.
Yeah.
I think she would have gotten COVID. I think she would have been very depressed from COVID. I think part of it would have been really awesome. Like her and Dan would just be working from home next to her cat. She would have loved it. Yeah. But she would have missed us because I took COVID pretty seriously in the beginning. So she would have missed her family. And I think she would have died alone.
Yeah, that would be
horrible.
Worse. Yeah, that would be worse.
Horrible. So
I know
it's not that things work out the way they're supposed to, but I'm like, you missed a shit show, Catherine. You missed a train wreck.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I know we just jumped ahead a bit.
Over a lot of stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, I can talk about your sister all day. Like I said.
Know. Could we just change the title to Catherine?
That would be awesome. I'd bring in all the Lynches.
A round table?
Yeah.
Yes.
That would be really cool.
Yes.
So now you're through high school, then we got through college.
I did get through college.
Yeah.
Barely.
Hard your way through it. When Catherine moved in, were you still in school, right?
Yes, and both of my roommates were not.
Really?
Yeah. It was very difficult.
That's impressive that you still made it through.
I made it through. Again, barely.
So did you go after you graduate college? Did you go back home then?
No, I lived with my then partner, and I got a job right away at a daycare. So
You guys didn't stay out there.
No,
Right.
No, we were there for a while, and then when we got engaged, we moved in with my parents' house into the basement where they finished part of that off. Yeah,
That's right. Oh yeah.
I know we still have to talk about ghosts.
Yeah, like in my head, I'm like, we're gonna be talking like for an hour just
I
about
know.
ghosts. And I'm like, oh, we're gonna talk for an hour just about her sister. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is gonna
That's why I
take
told
forever.
Andy, I'm like, I'm gonna make it back for dinner. Probably.
Yeah. Well, before we get to there though, so because we left off in Fox Chase, and you said when you went to college or when you graduated, they moved.
Yeah, so when I graduated high school, they had bought a place in Deer Path Creek, which is connected to where Dan Walsh's family is.
Which is connected to Lakeview also, right?
Isn't that Lakeview?
Yeah.
Where Dan is?
No.
Oh.
The Lakeview, I think, is the fronter
The
part.
other front part?
Yeah, the other front.
Yes, Deer Path Creek is like in the middle.
Dan lives in the front of Deer Path, and you guys are basically the last house in Deer Path.
Yeah, it changes again. They're all touching. It's just different subdivision names.
Yeah.
Because Oswego just blew the hell up.
That's true.
Yeah,
Did you guys build that house?
No.
That was already
No,
there.
it was already bought.
So that, like you said, that built up fast.
Yeah, Oswego was fined for building too many houses in a year.
Is that true?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. Well, I don't remember when it was, probably like in the 06, 07 pop.
Just before it took a shit.
Not Oswego, I mean the whole country?
Yeah.
The
08.
Oh,
09,
man.
Yeah.
Brutal. Yeah. I mean, I reaped benefits of that. So I bought a house in foreclosure.
I was going to say that. That's being smart.
Yeah.
I bought mine. When I bought a house, even years later, it was still cheap.
Oh man. Yeah, when we bought our house that we live in now, the market was quick, but the prices were not like they are now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was still like we were trying. Oh, wait, I'm jumping way ahead. Okay. Pause.
I jump also. I can't imagine. I don't know how anybody listens to this show.
Pause. Right. I like listening to it. So we lived in Deer Path Creek. We did. My partner and I moved in, and they finished part of the basement, so we stayed there.
Did you guys live before you went back to your parents' house? You guys, did you live on your own somewhere? Did you guys have an apartment?
His brother.
Okay, that's all right. That's right.
They lived together, and I was convinced that I should not live in DeKalb anymore. So. Yeah.
It's not great.
Well, I mean.
Did you like living out there?
I loved it.
I think it depends on where you're at in life.
Well, I loved who I was hanging out with.
That's true too.
I thought Catherine and
Did your sister stay out there?
Yeah, with the roommate. Yeah, and that was like my mom was like dropping off boxes of food, like, please take care of yourself. Please eat and take your medicine, please.
Yeah.
But
that's actually one of the things that I most admire about your mom is that she wants to mom.
Yeah.
But you can only to a certain level.
My mom
and knowing knowing what your not like knowing living it, but knowing what your daughter's going through and dealing with. And to a point, wants to be rebellious because, Jesus Christ, I just want a day off.
Yeah.
From having this disease.
Yeah.
It's got to be really hard for her to reconcile that, of wanting to take care of, but also giving space.
Yeah.
I've always admired that about your mom.
My mom is the coolest, strongest woman I've ever known in my whole life.
Yeah.
She really just took care of us, and Catherine especially. My mom and Catherine did butt heads a lot. While Catherine was a teenager, she was super rebellious. Like I said, she YOLO'd all over the place.
As you would be.
Right. So there was, she had to draw a line. She had to just recognize, like, Catherine just needs to do this.
Yeah.
And that was when my mom, no, she wasn't a nurse then, but my mom fully recognized that she is like, I'm just like a caretaker for her, and she doesn't really want me to be her mom or have any input on her choices and decisions. And yeah, I really admire her for that because I'm a mom now and I'm like,
right. Well, it's tough too because you're like,
I don't know if
your
I could
whole
do- I
goal
mean-
is to keep your kids alive.
right.
And with her having to, with Catherine having to be like, oh, this has an expiration date,
Yeah.
a soft date at least.
Yeah.
I'm at least gonna go out on my terms.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna live how I want to live.
Yep.
Like, cause just that is like, I get it.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to watch you destroy yourself.
I know, it's so hard. When she was on hospice, she had me, Stacy, and Katie B over, and we watched one of our, like, there were like 3 movies that we watched all the time together, probably Dazed and Confused.
Yeah.
And she was like, I want to do a shot. And I was like, okay. And I think I poured us all half shots. And later that night, I told Andy, and he's like, do you think she should really be taking shots right now? And I was like, if she wanted me to buy crack for her,
Right.
I'd go and buy crack for her. I don't know where from, but I'd figure it out. Like,
Yeah.
she can do whatever she wants. But yeah, I think I moved out like the last quarter or semester of school, and that's when I moved in with my then boyfriend at the time.
Right.
Yeah. And then when their lease was done, we moved into my parents' house together because at that point we were engaged. I was engaged before I graduated college.
Yeah. We were only engaged that one time, right? Were you engaged before that?
No. Fun fact, all the Lynch kids were engaged one time before.
Really?
Yeah.
Before they actually,
Yeah.
because I think Phil's married now, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
he is.
That's right.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
That's interesting.
I know, right?
I like the little idea of like, I'm going to give it a trial run before I, settle down for real.
Well, yeah, it just kind of made sense at the time.
Yeah. So when you moved back into the house, they were finishing the basement.
They decided to finish. I think we were maybe still living at that house together where we were with his brother. And then
Yeah.
when the lease was going to, I think once we were engaged and the lease
Yeah.
was up, my mom said it makes sense if you guys want to, we'll finish part of the basement and then you guys can save up for your house, I think was just made sense.
Yeah, which does make sense. So you guys stayed in your childhood room.
I never had a childhood there. I never lived there.
Your teenage room.
I had a room. Well, I graduated high school, and then
Yeah.
I guess I did live there while I went to Wabanzi, while I got my associates. So I did still have a room there because I was there every weekend too.
Right.
That was where I crashed in between working shifts and partying.
Because there's a funny story, I've already mentioned, I was backpacking around because I stayed at your house.
Yes.
And there's a funny story that I always think is hilarious because I stayed in your room, but nobody knew I was there.
What?
Yeah. And then
How?
in the morning, we came down for breakfast.
Me and you?
Yeah. And your mom's like, who is this gentleman who just came out of my daughter's room? But then you're like, oh, that's Tim.
That's Tim.
And then, which doesn't sit well with me, but everybody's like, oh, okay. I'm like, what the hell is that?
That's just Tim. He's fine. Wait,
Yeah.
what happened that night? Did we sleep in the same room or did I sleep in Catherine's room?
No, he just, yeah.
Catherine probably was
still-
sleeping somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
We were
yeah.
all sleeping somewhere else in those
Yes.
years.
Good news is I'm not a predator.
No, you're not.
Thank goodness.
No, you're
But
not.
I did not appreciate the next morning people just easily dismissing me of being like, oh, okay.
That's
like,
a good thing. That's a good thing,
It
Tim.
is actually a really good
It
thing.
is a really good thing, especially since you're 40 now.
That's
you know?
41. Even grosser.
Loose skin.
Old balls. Gross. My girlfriend's banging the Pepperidge Farm guy.
Ew, gross.
So you guys, because I feel like your boyfriend at the time was doing a lot of the work.
Yeah,
In the
him and my
basement.
dad, and maybe my brother. I don't remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was skilled enough, probably.
Do you, I know you alluded to ghosts. That house 100% was haunted.
Yeah, his name is Sam.
Do you think there's only one entity?
I think so.
Yeah.
That we encountered.
Yeah.
I
Did you ever
think
deal
so.
with it directly?
For sure. Yeah, I saw him.
Oh, really?
Yes, there was one time I saw him. He looked like an outline of a person.
Yeah.
And half of his.
Almost like stereotypically what you would call a shadow person if you watch those shows.
Maybe. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm open to it. I don't know
Sure.
much. I'm just open
Yeah.
to seeing and
Because I've
experiencing.
dealt with it too because I've spent time in the house. I remember Felice was watching the house once and I
Yes.
stayed there also. And there was telephone shenanigans.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
right.
ridiculous.
Yeah, you guys
stuff
couldn't
that would
connect
happen.
on the phone. Is
It
that
was
what it
so
was?
funny.
What else was there? Because I don't know if I heard all about it.
This was a long time ago.
Yes, it is.
But I remember, I don't even know whose room I was in. I wish I did, because I'd be curious to see
Well,
where.
we all switched rooms because there was that one room in the front that was the best. That was the quote unquote best room. So each kid took turns.
I hate how logical you all are, and are like, well, this is fair.
It's Phil's turn. He's
Yeah,
old
like,
enough to be in the room.
You're the oldest. You could be like, no, this is my room.
Aww.
Suck it.
I sold that house for my parents eventually. They held on to it because they bought right before, in 2002. So
Yeah.
they bought right before the crash. So they held on to it and rented it out. They finally sold it, I don't know what year, 2020 maybe? And they replaced the carpet. I had my dad cut out a piece of carpet from that bedroom that we each took a turn in. So my brother has a piece and I have
awesome.
a piece. Yeah. Yeah, so dorky.
But I remember we went to the house when Felice was watching it, and the phone would ring, but then nobody was there.
Oh, a house phone?
Yeah.
Didn't you have something when you two were on the phone though?
Yeah, when we were talking on our cell phones,
Yes.
it would just dead out of nowhere. It would
You
dead
probably
zone.
weren't supposed to be there, Tim.
Yeah, for sure, but I'm the good guy.
Not to Sam.
That's true. Well, maybe it was interesting because it never felt negative. It always felt mischievous.
It was mischievous. That's why I named him Sam. He was like a 15-year-old boy.
It was very lighthearted.
Yes.
But it was still terrifying.
Yeah, nobody ever got
when you're
hurt.
the only one in the house. Yeah. I mean, Felice saw him because she was sleeping on the floor one day and he was under the bed. So she opened her eyes and had to deal with that. And I'm like, man, I don't want to do that. But we've never actually sat down and I've never heard of your own experience personally.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us some of that.
Okay, so there was one time that I did see him, probably 6 feet away, and half of, I'll say entity, should I say entity?
You can say whatever you want.
So hot dog cut, so half of him was all the color black, and then the other half was static.
Yeah.
And I was just like, hi. And then I just stood there, and I was like, I'm late. I'm sorry. I just went up to my
I like the idea. I can't deal with this right now. I'm late.
No, I think I got home for the night.
Okay.
I gotta go upstairs.
Oh, you were in trouble.
Which isn't even really a thing in my house. I think I probably just told my parents I was gonna be home at a certain time, and then I wasn't. That was always the rule. They wanted to know who we were with, and where we were. And in general, when are you coming home? Even if it's 3 a.m, when are you gonna be home? Because we had to always go and kiss my mom when we got home, so she could tell if we were partying.
Oh my God. I mean, that's smart, but it's also still what a stupid loving family.
But she's like, I don't care if you text, just call me and let me know where you are. Because I don't know, was it texting? Texting costs money. Right?
At some point it did.
Yeah, so it was just, if you're not going to come home, just tell me where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I just got home and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm here now, and I just went to bed. But there was one time we went out for my dad's birthday dinner, and they were finishing the basement at the time. And when we got home from the birthday dinner, the table saw was on. You could hear it from upstairs. It's really loud. And the way that you have to turn on a table saw is there's it's under, the switch is under the table.
Yeah.
So it's you have to, and there's a safety cover. So you have to
Right.
push the safety cover forward and then pull, unclip it down. And then you have to turn the switch on. So, and it was running. So we were just oh, it's Sam. And I was like, he's telling you to finish the damn basement. Let's get a move on it. Let's go.
That one's always a big one because the table saw cannot just turn on.
It doesn't just
There's
turn.
way too
Even if
many
the power
things.
gets cut off and
Yeah.
comes back on, I'm like, that doesn't happen. But because my dad was always like, this is bullshit. And then when that happened, he was like, well, I mean, you can't justify that one.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
That is a big
I feel
one.
like I have another story, but I can't. I was trying to think of it on the way here. I can't remember. I feel like there's another one.
Did you guys, but eventually that gets finished and you guys do live there.
Yeah. Oh, in the basement? Yeah.
Yeah. It's just scary. And that was a cool house, actually.
It was an awesome house.
In general, the layout of the house was really cool.
Oh, yeah. It was beautiful.
Taxes were probably ridiculous.
Of course. Well, yeah. It's Kendall County.
That's true, yeah.
It's the worst.
But I even think that going from, I don't know, I would be curious going from Fox Chase to the other side of the river there.
Yeah.
You're still in the same town.
Yeah.
But I got to think that taxes are almost double over there.
Probably.
Yeah, which is nuts.
It is nuts.
Yeah.
It is nuts. Well, and you're talking about a 15-year difference.
Yeah, that's
time,
true too.
right?
Yeah.
No. Oh, no. 95 to 02.
Oh, no, that's why,
is
like,
that right? 7 years?
Is it weird when you like
Yikes.
put times and you're like, oh shit, that wasn't that long at all? I've been noticing that in my life lately. Like things felt like forever.
Now.
And, like, oh, it was like 5 years. Weird.
Oh, man. It's either way far away or way closer
Yeah.
in time. Oh, that's wild. Yeah, only 7 years. Well, I guess they're important years, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's what's in those years versus the
guess.
length.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, from one side of town to another, yeah, I'm sure the taxes were different.
But now we're coming to the part where you're gonna not meet, because I feel like you probably already knew him.
I have so many pictures of Andy and I together from
Before
before I knew him.
Yeah,
Because-
quote unquote knew him.
Yeah, well, because I knew him through Catherine, because I went to Andy's house
Yeah, we've all been to Andy's
for
house.
reasons that other people went to Andy's house. So that's how I knew him, and then I was going to all the shows too.
Yeah.
And so was Catherine, and it was just the thing to do.
That's right, because I feel like initially you were coming to our shows,
Yes.
because I know you and Jay are also very close,
Yes.
and then kind of transitioned to what did that look like as far as slowly building a relationship with Andy?
It was not slow.
Right.
It was not slow.
Yeah.
So you want me to go on the record? I'm an asshole. I am an asshole.
Is that
So
true?
I was engaged when I officially started talking to Andy.
What does it make you an asshole? Like, people
Okay.
will judge and have their opinions, and they're allowed. Whatever, fine.
course.
Whatever. Opinions are like assholes.
Yeah.
But do you feel that? Like, do you feel judged for that?
Of course.
Really?
Of course.
I gotta think that certain people have probably said things also.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You don't, but do you carry that with you?
No, no, I don't carry it with me. Only because the outcome is so great for everybody who
Right.
was
We're gonna
involved.
allude to a lot of things, but everybody came out.
Everybody
so
came out
much better.
okay. So when I met Andy, when I officially had a conversation with Andy, Felice and I had gone out to a show that they played, but it was like an hour and a half away. He could tell you the name of the place.
Yeah.
He might. I don't know the name.
I'm trying to think of them going an hour and a half away.
Some dive bar,
Yeah.
but I think it was more like a motorcycle bar, maybe. I don't know.
Did they ever play Penny Road Pub?
Was that it? I don't
I
know.
can't remember if it all
Maybe?
blurs together.
Right?
I can't remember whose show. If it was my show, was it their show?
Oh my gosh, it was their show. So Felice and I were talking to him and just oh, good show. And then No Effects started playing, and I was like, oh man, my fiance and I just bought tickets to go see them at Red Rocks.
Yeah.
And he's like, no way, this is my favorite band. And I was like, you should come. He's like, my aunt has a place out there. We could stay at her house, on her property. I was like, hell yeah. And he bought a ticket. And then I think the next night or within the next, in that conversation, I was like, I want to know everything about this man. I want to get to know him. I want to know everything. I want to hang out with him. I want to hang out with him all the time. So I went to his house and burned some CDs. And
Did you even at that point were you like, this is probably not a good idea, but this is where I'm being pulled?
Yeah.
Or were you just like,
No, 100%.
yeah,
100%. I was going to let that be pursued.
Yeah.
In that conversation, I think it might have been that night. Oh yeah, yes, in that night. Well, because I was texting him that night on the way home.
Right.
Let's hang out. I want to burn CDs. I want to hang out with you. And he was like, okay. And he says, he's like, I never even considered that because you were taken.
Right.
So that was
in his head, he's like, this is just a friend.
This is a friendship, and
Yeah.
she's gonna come over and burn CDs.
Right.
But I encouraged him to pursue that, that night that I went over to burn CDs.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was insane. I have never done anything like that in my life, and I was like, this is totally nuts. This is crazy. But I'm like, but I think I'm gonna fall in love with this man, and I think I'm gonna let that happen.
There was never a point where you're like, I should have a conversation.
It was nuts because I think that because we were living with my family together.
Right.
And that we had, like, my parents were excited for our future, and we were all, like, kind of on the same page
also, there's
about
there's no bad guy in this story.
Well, it's me. I'm the bad guy. I'm the villain.
I don't listen. I came up through this story also.
Yeah.
So I wasn't involved, but I was extremely close to it, and I remember it. I don't like the idea that you're the bad guy in the situation.
Oh.
I think it's too easy, and it's just like, does everybody wish it would have gone different? Sure.
Yes.
But
Literally everybody.
It went the way it went, and I don't think there's a bad guy in this story. And I would argue anybody that wanted to place the blame anywhere else. I think that where you were in life in general, it was going to be messy, and this thing was new.
Yeah.
And let's hold on to that as long as we can. And I think that that's subconsciously what's happening.
Well, that's a really nice way to look at it.
But I think that that's what you're subconsciously doing, because not for nothing, your parents loved your current boyfriend, and you guys were already building fiance.
I was all fiance.
And we're already building a life together, and that's great.
Yeah.
And you knew it, like, this is gonna blow up eventually. So instead of having a conversation, because it's not like you're not confrontational. I feel like you can have difficult conversations if you need to.
I think I'm pretty passive.
Are you?
If for really difficult conversations, I'm really passive.
Okay.
And I, in my head, was like, I'm going to take this to the grave. Like, and Andy was
Wait,
like...
you thought then you were going to take it to the grave?
Yeah.
Which I love the idea that you're like, this is going to work out.
Yes. I'm just going to, like, casually fall in love with Andy. He's not going to love me back, and I'll just marry this other guy. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Because Andy was like, I can't, like, we can't be together. And I was like, you're right. We can't be. I guess not. So, yeah.
Even that, though, where you're like, only because you're saying that.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
Well, it was so messy.
Because there was never a point, too, where he was like, you need to just, because this is such a stereotypical thing where it's like girls with boy but wants the other boy. And boys just like, tell other boy.
Yeah, no, he wasn't.
But this wasn't, even though it fits into that trope, it wasn't what it was actually.
Yeah, he's like, you're engaged. And I was like, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Was there a point too when you pulled back a little bit and were like, no, I need to focus on what I'm doing. This is silly.
No.
You were just like, nah, this just feels better.
Because everything happened so fast. I think it was just such in a compact time frame.
Yeah, this did all happen really fast.
Because we had this road trip coming up that I planned, and like, so he's like, I need a girlfriend. I need a cool girlfriend. I was like, Tim just broke up with his cool girlfriend. Let's rope her into it.
I was actually really supposed to go on this road trip.
You were supposed to go?
Yeah, but then me and my girlfriend broke up.
So
what a shit show.
So messy and so gross and immature and deceitful and just like everything that I never could have thought I would have. Like, who is that? How could I have done those things? So I invited her onto this trip. So like the four of us were just hanging out all the time. So that just happened. But Andy and I never stopped. And it was very messy. It was just very messy. And when we got back from the trip, on the way back from the trip, I texted Jay and I was like, I need to talk to you. Yeah. And I told him everything. I was the coordinator. It was awful. It was just terrible. And like I said, immature. I had never done anything like that. So, and like, I wasn't going to talk about it with anybody. So I'm like, how the hell do I navigate this? Like,
I feel like this is the most we've ever talked about it.
Oh yeah.
Like, I feel like people might have little pieces and everything. Yeah. But nobody knows the whole story.
We've told this story to a few people. I actually just told it at Amy's thing to the Sajeskis, and really? Cassie was like, "This is so romantic. It's like kind of hot." I'm like, Cassie, it was destroying.
It was not fun.
Destroyed. It was awful.
I love Cassie so much.
She's hilarious.
Yeah. I love that she could turn tragedy into...
She's like, oh my gosh, what? Oh, man. But, like, when the day that it all blew up, I felt kind of free.
Yeah.
And like, okay, because like I didn't have to break up with my fiance, like it was just gonna happen.
Right.
But then he
Yeah.
was like, you owe it to me to work it out. And I was like, okay.
Really?
Yeah.
But you already knew that wasn't an option.
I
emotionally.
did, but we did. We stuck it out for a little longer.
Yeah, but sticking out is not.
No, I knew that. I at that point I was like,
Yeah,
I think
you
it's
had
pretty
checked
clear
out.
that I'm
Right.
done here. And even though Andy said like, well, we're not gonna date now, I was like, okay. But like, I'm obviously not meant to be with my fiance either. So
Yeah.
it was just, yeah, we stuck it out for, I can't remember. I remember the last night, the Halloween night. That
Yeah.
was so messy. It was so bad. So yeah, this is hilarious. If you listen to this, ex-fiance, so he's like, we're going to this show that they're playing, that the bands are playing at. I was like, we really don't have to go. He's like, we're going. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
On the way to Joe and Kelly's Halloween party, I'm like, let's just go to Joe and Kelly's.
Yeah.
They're neutral. It'll be great. He's like, nope, we're stopping here first. I'm like, okay. So we go, and he's having a hard time, and I'm crying. And I remember when Short of All was playing, he like chewed up a piece of gum and threw it toward the band. I'm like, oh, we're doing this. Andy later told me, I'm like, hey, did that piece of gum like hit you? He's like, what? I'm like, yeah. He goes, it was in my shoe. I'm like, what do you mean it was in your shoe? He's like, I play barefoot. And when I went to put my shoes back on, there was gum in my shoe. I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's so funny.
That is hilarious. So I'm having a rough night, and it's Halloween, so I'm drinking, and Mr. Walsh comes up to me in his Batman costume and says, you look like you're having a rough night. I was like, I'm having the worst night.
Yeah.
And he said, can I buy you a drink? I said, yes, you can. And he kicked up his boot onto a bar stool and pulled money out of his Batman boots and bought me a drink. But then, I mean, it was very clear that we were not going to work it out.
Yeah.
And the next morning we officially broke up.
Yeah.
Yes.
That time period was really, I feel like I learned an incredible lesson through all of that.
I'm sorry.
No,
So hurtful.
No. But, well,
So
I have a different
painful.
experience because, like I said, I'm not directly involved. I'm indirectly involved
But like
in a whole different kind of way.
yeah,
But
and it was so hurtful to you, indirect in that.
there's only
way.
one thing that bothered me. Only one thing.
They didn't get to go to Red Rocks.
No, not even that. It should be, but no, not even that. Only one thing bothered me is because a piece that's missing from this is because you were engaged, and Andy at the time was like, this isn't going to be a thing with us, even though you're like, it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Is me and my girlfriend had just broken up, and Andy was trying to date her.
Oh yeah.
And even that's not the shitty part.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
that
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. That's the crappy part.
The
Another
part
crappy
that bothers
part.
me is I called him,
Oh.
and because I had a conversation, I'm like, "Hey man, like, what's going on?" And I was like, "What's because we had just broken up,
Yeah.
and we dated for years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's going on?" But I was very, very sure to make sure I spoke correctly. I'm like, because he's like, "Oh, whatever, we just been hanging out. Like, we don't. If you don't want me to talk to her, I won't." I'm like, "No, it's not like that. I don't control who she talks to. Like, if you guys are doing a thing, that's your thing. All I'm saying is like, we're friends." Like, it's at least like, I hate to say bro code or like friend code or anything stupid like that, but it's as simple. We come from a specific group, and a lot of us have dated each other.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, just
Like,
let me
it's not a big
know.
deal at all. But it's okay. You should just be like, "Hey man, like, just so you know, this is a thing."
Yeah.
Like, oh, cool. I want it to work out for you. It's as simple as that.
I'm sorry,
But
Tim.
because I knew the flip side, so when I heard somebody tell me, because I know that my ex-girlfriend at the time was like, "Hey, you're friends with Tim. I don't know if this is a good idea." And then to hear back somebody that I loved dearly was like, "Oh, we're not that close."
Oh.
I was like, I get why you would say that. But that was the most hurtful thing for me.
Yeah.
But again, that was forever ago. And I think that the big lesson for me was, here's this shit show, and there's not a solution. We all have to live in this now.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that it's only time.
Yeah.
Like, I love that we can talk about it because I don't think it's anywhere near as big of a deal as we've made it out to be. And I don't think that should be like there's a definite two victims, but I don't think that it's as this evil plan, and I wouldn't want you to carry it specifically, but it's easy for me to say that from out here.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. It was really crappy. That's really just the only thing I can say.
Yeah, right, and that's the thing is though, your ex-fiance has an amazing wife and an amazing family.
Yes.
You guys have
Thank
amazing
God.
family. Like every single person has come out way better, except for old Tim.
I'm sorry, Tim. I'm sorry, Tim.
Everybody feels sorry for me, but everybody, realistically, everybody actually involved has come out so much better and in way better relationships and healthier relationships because of it. So I wouldn't want to change anything about it ever.
I would. It's a very sore regret in my life how I handled it. I wish that I just would have been able to say, if I'm having these strong feelings for someone else, I'm clearly not supposed to freaking marry you.
So next time,
if not date you, yeah.
Next time you'll be prepared.
No, if there's any consolation, Andy and I are for real. It was legit.
When did that kind of? Now that we've gotten past this cloud of inevitability, when was it kind of like you said? Because it's not like you could just. It would have looked probably pretty bad to just then jump into a relationship right away.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it's inevitable.
Right.
So you and your ex-fiance finally break up. He moseys and lives his amazing life.
Yes.
And what does this time period then look like towards like, oh, we can start talking again. We can start hanging out again. Because like I said, this is just a time thing. There's no solution. Yeah. It's just letting it slowly pass.
Yeah, he's like, I can't do that. He like slept on his couch. He's like, I can't even like be in my bedroom. It's just not
it's
good.
heavy.
It was very heavy.
I don't want to sound like we're downplaying it because it's been forever.
Yeah.
It was so much at the time.
It was a lot. Like our friends, my family was very upset with me because they saw what my future was going to be, and the man was living in our house. Yeah. So my parents were pretty upset.
Not for nothing. Also, I've never said this, and I don't want to get too far off subject, but I feel like that was a turning point in our friendship. Because we were actually pretty close.
Because I dicked you over.
Because we were actually pretty close and hung out, and then after that we didn't.
Yeah.
And even though I was close with your ex-fiance, which I still am because I love him, but it's not, to me it wasn't a sides thing. It wasn't right or wrong.
Sure.
Even then it was just like, well, this just sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not fun. I considered moving to California where my cool aunt
Really?
lived at the time, because Jamie stuck out for me. She stuck by my side, but a lot of our friends didn't talk to me. I was not going out. Jake T also was like, yeah, I'll hang out with you. I'm like, thanks. He's like, do you want to come out? I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
Not for nothing, there's a lot to be said about dealing with that level of emotional weight.
Yeah.
And people that are like, dude, who fucking cares? Like,
I got a lot of fuck yous. Yeah. I got a lot of backlash for it, and
a lot of that
deserved it.
Well, that's debatable. But it's not constructive. Like,
sure.
You're not getting anything out of it. It's not like just spewing venom at somebody is not.
Sure.
There's no point to it. Like,
yeah.
But I'd be curious because a lot of that stuff that was projected at you then, you're still friends with those people, or are a lot of those people gone now?
I'm back. I'm back friends with everybody.
Yeah, because I can't imagine that there was a conversation
besides the two people
where it was like, hey, you were shitty to me. I did a shitty thing, but you were shitty to me. Or it was one of those things, again, where you just kind of had to let it go and be the bigger person.
I tried to stay close with even my close friends who really gave me the middle finger. They were still like in our circle of friends.
Yeah.
So when Andy and I did get engaged and we had our bridal shower, those friends were still invited, and I did have she's still like one of my best friends. She said, I was a dick, but you were clearly meant to be together.
Which I think is fair.
You.
I think that's a good way to look at it too. Is like, I don't like the idea of you guys carrying blame, and because I also don't like a dark cloud over the beginning of your relationship, because it is a really a healthy relationship,
Yeah.
and I think that it's definitely grown into something beautiful. So, one, you get the idea of from chaos comes clarity, which don't. Ugh.
Yeah, bring up 311, please.
Yeah, half of our friends just got boners. Yeah.
And the other half.
The other half just turned the channel. But I do think that there's something to be said about that, like weathering the storm and and then enjoying paradise.
So, my fiance and I were not friends, but we didn't have a relationship before we started dating, so that was just done.
Right.
The woman involved, I only knew her through you, and I like being on that trip with her. I'm like, she is really awesome. And when I dicked her over like that, I wanted to mend that relationship. And she very clearly said, I forgive you. We are not, and I will be decent to you when I see you in person, but we are not friends. And I was like, I respect that. That really sucks on my end, but I get it.
For her
I don't want to be friends
have
with
that
me either.
conversation at that time.
She's too cool for me.
I know her really well. I'm still close friends with her. That's why. But yeah, what an absolute treasure of a person
I know.
she is.
She was. I think she handled everything with class, way classier than I ever could.
It's funny because she's so much younger than us.
I know.
And way better than
It's
us.
embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
It's always weird when you're looking up to young people.
I know. Yeah.
But then what did that look like then as far as, okay, now that the storm is passed, people are still having whatever, I can't control what people think, but we can start hanging out again.
Yeah, so I pushed for that. I did go to a party at someone's house, and he was there, and I said, listen, I miss you. I miss hanging out with you. And I want to hang out with you. And he's like, yeah, let's hang out tomorrow. So I was getting ready the next day to go hang out with him, and Catherine, like I'm out the door, and Catherine goes, don't date him. And I was like, I am not promising anything. And yeah, we started right back off.
Did it pick up like with the same kind of speed where it was just like, this is just happening?
So it was 2 months. So it was January 3rd, and he was like, yeah, I'm hanging out. I have plans to go to this place. And I was like, well, yeah, let's do that. So we went and hung out together with friends, and then like after that event ended, it was just right back to where we were. He's like, I think it was him. Like I brought him back. I think we were right. Yeah, we rode together. So either we were in my car or he brought me back to my car at his house. And he's like, I kind of don't want you to leave. And I was like, okay. Okay, deal. And then, we hung out pretty much every single day. So we weren't like officially dating for a couple weeks, but we weren't seeing anybody else either. So it was official on that day.
Yeah. How long did you guys date then until you got engaged?
He proposed on January 3rd,
Yeah.
4 years later, and then we were married on January 3rd, a year after that.
I was like, I feel like, because I was at the wedding.
Yes.
It was the first time I really smoked a bunch of pot was that year.
Which is crazy because I didn't smoke any pot and I didn't drink any alcohol until like the shots were brought out. I was terrified of not remembering my wedding, so I didn't do anything. And I was like, I really probably should have smoked or took a shot or something because I was kind of tight.
It was such a good time.
Man.
It was one of my favorite weddings. Joe and Kelly's is one of my favorites.
Joe and Kelly's was awesome.
Yeah, which I said when I talked to them too, like his... or her dad's speech was just one of the greatest things I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Your guys' wedding was really awesome too. It was fun for us because, like I said, I drank and smoked pot for the first time. But I stayed up overnight because me and Sarah had to go to my grandma's funeral in the morning.
Oh no, that's awful.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible.
So I was like, I'm just going to stay up. I'm just going to go on a bender, I guess.
Were you up with us? Because there were like 5 of us who were still up at 5 in the morning.
I was wandering the halls, and I was pretty much wherever I heard noise was kind of like, I guess
who was still up? It was me, Andy, Posty, I think, who was it? Was it Sarah Brookie? There were just just a handful of people surviving, and we're like, man, no restaurants are open. Uber Eats wasn't a thing.
Nope.
We're like, we're all getting hungry for breakfast. I guess we have to go to bed for a couple hours. And so until we go out to eat.
Yeah, that was a really good time.
Oh man, my cheeks are on my wedding night from smiling so much.
Yeah.
I bagged him officially. I snagged Andy. Dream come true. Love that man.
He is a handsome man.
He's the funniest and coolest person I know.
He is uncomfortably funny.
He's so funny.
Because you also don't know what he's gonna say.
Oh, he's unfiltered.
But he's unfiltered in like a childish way.
Yeah.
Where like because he has an adult mouth and brain, he's gonna say something incorrect.
Oh my gosh.
And it's gonna be bad.
It's hilarious.
But it's so funny that he just blurts it out.
Yeah.
Like, cause I'm big on intention of words, and our culture is in an interesting place right now.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of like, cause he doesn't have a negative bone in his body.
No.
He's just a sweetheart.
Yeah.
So he might blurt out awful things, but then with the intention of this innocent 5-year-old little boy.
Yeah. What is he? He says, you know where you draw the line? He's like, I take a shit on that line.
Yeah, that sounds like Andy.
Yeah, someone asked if he had HR at his company. He's like, yeah, I'm HR. I'm HR. Come talk to me.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
How long were you guys, because you had already mentioned too that you've always wanted to be a mom.
Yeah.
And we're kind of brushing over certain career stuff I know that you've done and things like that. But like I said, even about myself too, I'm not really career driven.
No.
Like there's jobs to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Like my life is what's important.
Yeah.
Not what the hell I'm doing and stuff like that. When was there a point where you're like, I think we should have kids? Oh, we also, we missed is you did buy your place.
Yeah.
We just barely grazed on that.
Yes.
That was before this, though.
I bought that place while I was still technically living at my parents' house. So Andy and I were dating, and I was living technically with my parents' house. I was at Andy's place all the time.
Right, yeah.
Who wasn't? But I was spending the night a lot. But my parents are like, hey, when are you moving out? I was like, I guess I could look into that. And it was, really easy to get a place then. So, price-wise. So I bought that place. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Even that place was awesome, and it was a steal.
Thank you. It was a steal. I remember because even at the time, a
lot of people lived there too.
Yeah, it was.
Guy had the house in the front.
Yeah, that's right.
Cassie had one over there also.
Did she really?
Yeah.
And when we moved in, that's where Chris and Nicole Lorenzen lived. We shared a wall, and that's how we know them. They were their boys, and Chris were in our wedding, and we're hanging out with them on Sunday.
Nice.
They're our best friends.
When you hear this, that will have already happened.
Yes, we will have already been to the beach together. I turned 25 were you at the superhero party at the Short of All House? No, you guys had a show. AP had a show that night.
Which means nobody was at our show.
Oh, no, it was a little split, wasn't it?
That
party was so fun.
I think people would like to say that we had actual fans and Short of All had our friends. I don't agree with that sentiment, but somebody might say
I was going to all the shows. Yeah. So I turned 25, and that was in May. And then, so I just started dating Andy that January. I turned 25 in May. In June, we went to Andy's family vacation in Hawaii for a week. We came back for a day, and then we went on my family vacation to Florida.
Jesus Christ.
Yes. And then in October, Andy and I went to Florida together and did Universal for his birthday. And then in November, he traveled a lot for work.
Yeah.
So he was going to California in November, and I went with him, quote unquote. But I spent the first half with my aunt in Laguna Beach, and then we did LA together. And then
it's pronounced LA.
And then and then in March we did 311 Day in Vegas, and then a week later I bought my townhouse.
Man, what a year. Jesus
and
Christ.
And then I turned 26. Yeah, 25 rocked my ass off.
Yeah.
25 was so awesome. Yeah.
And realistically, that's kind of awesome coming out of the previous year. And then to have this unbelievable year like that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like what people might miss also is because you're not career driven and stuff like that, you still work your ass off to do these things.
I paid for everything I had to.
Because I would say you might have had help going through school. Parents might have paid for college.
Yeah.
But,
which I'm so grateful for.
Yeah, for sure. But they raised all of you kids to be self-sufficient.
Yep.
They even just said you started to stagnate, maybe it's time to move out. Like,
and I was like,
get
okay,
out of here.
yeah.
We've prepared you better than this.
Yeah, let's go. Get the hell out of this basement we built for nothing.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom and Dad. So I bought my place in March of, what is that, 2010. Yeah. So actually, when I was looking for a house, I asked Andy, I said, should I be looking for a house with a 2-car garage? Should I look for a place with a basement for your drums? And he's like, I'm living with the band for as long as I can.
For forever.
And then I'm like, hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Do that. I mean, we all went to that house. It's fucking awesome. Like, do that forever.
Yeah.
And then, he moved in September.
I was gonna say that was pretty much the end.
Yeah, he one of the guys wanted to move back home to stack cash, and then the thing about
this is 2010.
2010.
I was say because September was our last show. Theirs was the month before.
Yeah.
So by August 2010, both bands are done.
Yeah, I know. He's like, I can't play my drums anywhere. Like everybody else can just plug their guitar into an amp or sing in the car and practice, but I need my drums to be heat controlled and I need to be able to play them. So like I can't just rent a storage unit. I can't just rent like a basement in someone's house. I have to be able to play them. So it just wasn't in the cards for them. Like they couldn't renew their lease with just the 3 of them, and then he couldn't find a place that could house that could take the 3 guys and the drums and that they could afford. So that really tore him up.
Yeah,
that was really hard for him.
Yeah,
he felt it all on his shoulders.
Really? Because I feel like that bothered Jason a lot. I know too.
Yeah.
Like because it's when you all live together, it's easy.
Sure.
And like we said, they didn't have to stop making music.
Yeah.
But they kind of did because they weren't all centralized now.
Well, he couldn't play his drums.
Yeah, exactly. And without being able to play his drums,
like,
even if you buy like an electronic kit,
not the
it
same. It is not punk rock.
No. Well, he started that.
Oh yeah.
Back in because when we recorded our first album with Andy, we were his first project back in 2005.
Yeah.
And he had an electric kit. Like our first album was done on an electric kit.
Really?
And that's what he was doing.
Oh.
And that did not last long.
No.
Because it is nowhere near the same.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
No, it's not the same, and he doesn't do anything half-ass, especially
he whole
music.
asses many
he
things.
whole asses music. He uses that whole ass. So if it's not perfect, that is not. He's not interested. He doesn't want to do that.
It sucks too because like you do something at a certain level anyways, and like not for nothing. Short of all was unbelievable.
Yeah, he doesn't even think he's good.
Yeah,
so...
which is like good. Let them stay humble. But like when you listen, especially their last album, like it's mixed so well.
It's incredible.
It sounds better than a lot of albums out there.
The one on Spotify now?
Yeah, the way their writing style, like I'm always amazed at Walsh because I know Walsh.
It's smart punk.
And like watching Dan barely able to like walk around and like he spills candy. He's the kind of guy who spills candy in the theater. Me, Junker, and Walsh went to see the latest Miyazaki film, The Boy and the Heron. And it's like pitch black. There's this amazing movie on. There's not that many people in here. And then all of a sudden, you hear, oh. And then you just hear 1,000 Reese's Pieces hit the floor. So when I think of Walsh able to write unbelievable music, I'm like, how does he do it?
Does not compute. What's happening?
But he's just a natural. Like he's unbelievable at it. All those guys are. Like,
I know.
For the various pieces, it just comes together so brilliantly.
Yeah, it was.
But I can understand not being like, if I can't do it at that level, I'm not interested.
Well, he couldn't do it at all. Well, he wasn't gonna play electric drums. Let's be clear here. No, and he couldn't play his drums. Period. So he did feel responsible for that he couldn't find a place and he couldn't play his drums. It was really heavy on him. But that was really cool being able to see them write music together. That was awesome. I love being a groupie. It was very cool.
Well, groupie implies many other things, but yes.
I loved being a short of all girlfriends. It was killer. It was a lot of fun. It was really cool to see them together. They were hilarious.
That's true. Yeah,
they were really fun to be around and really smart, and their music was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
The reason that album is on Spotify is because I wanted to add their albums to my birthday playlist. And Andy was like, well, I'm not just going to throw the albums on Spotify. He's like, we have to redo them. I'm like, why? He's like, because I can make them better now. The technology is better. And we're also going to send it to go get remixed. And I'm hiring somebody to do new album art. I'm like, okay.
If you don't mind reinvesting the money into it,
yeah,
it's 100% worth it.
Now it's on Spotify.
Because we did the same thing with our last album, which it came out in 2010.
Yeah.
But we put it straight on there. It was already mastered well enough.
Yeah.
So we're just sitting on this. Because I've been I would love to see them finish their old stuff, but I also don't know. I like the evolution of where we're all at and moving.
Sure.
And the phases of life that we're in now.
Yeah.
As long as everybody's happy. And I think that's great.
Yeah.
But I don't think that there'll ever be a time when none of us, when we're not musicians. We're going to dabble somewhere if we can.
Yeah, he definitely has the freedom to do. If he wanted to make time for that, I would support that for sure. His drums are set up at our current house.
Yeah.
But his priorities right now are family and work. And he's I don't want to out him. He's more interested in, if he were to get involved in music again, he's more interested in recording and helping other people make it sound as best as
I would love to see him get back into just recording.
I know.
He's got such a brain for it.
I know.
It's really good. And I've been lucky enough to, like I said, we were his first project, and to listen to our shitty Orange album, which were shitty written songs, but they meant the world to us.
Aww.
And to see what he's putting out now is incredible.
Yeah, he's cool.
This is 20 years. Next year, in 2025, it'll be 20 years of him recording.
Wow.
That's crazy. I just realized that.
I'd love for him to have the time to do something like that, but at the end of the day, he's just our oldest is in a sport right now. She has practice 4 times a week, and then once the sport, she's a cheerleader, so once the sport starts, then it's add a game onto that every weekend. So it was the 4th night in a row last night, and he's been staying back with the youngest, and I'm like, hey, can you pop in an earbud? And he's like, yeah, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, I just want to talk to you. I like you. I just want to catch up with you.
So more weirdness. You grew up in a loving family, and now you're creating a loving family where you actually like your husband.
Yeah, we like each other.
Which I alluded to earlier. I did talk with Sarah Mike, and I've done the show with Joe and Kelly, where I'm like, I don't understand. You guys actually want to be around each other? I don't get it.
I know. All these people are like, oh, you're 3 kids, and oh, that's gotta be, don't you come out with the boys? And he's like, but I really want to hang out with my wife.
Do you feel that?
Me?
That particularly you just said is come out with the boys, because I think a lot of people still want to see that freedom.
Yeah.
And I feel do you think that they're pointing a finger at you for that?
I mean, probably from the outside, but I'm not even one who's I need to go on this girl's trip, and
right.
I'm just that does not compute.
Yeah.
Now that I'm a little more into motherhood, I'm I could see going away for a weekend, but I'd rather go away with my husband.
Right.
We just want to hang out together.
Yeah.
We're just so deep into raising young kids right now, where we both understand that this is the stage in life that we're in, and we're not going to get a lot of personal time or a lot of one-on-one time together, and we both accept that. So I hope from the outside it doesn't look like I'm keeping
Was
them
that
home.
a conversation you had, or is that something that you guys just kind of align with?
No, it's just what happened.
Yeah, it seems like that's more of a personal alignment that just works out.
Yeah, Andy.
Which goes back to the whole magnetic thing since the beginning.
Oh boy, yeah. I think that's just how it happened. I've always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but I've always he's held it down, but I've pretty much always been trying to make income while staying at home. But that was pretty much always, he knew that I always wanted to stay home, but he is super involved. And I don't know if that just fell in line, or if that was my expectations, or if that's what he always wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I know his dad worked not a super lot, but his brothers are 10 and 12 years older than him.
Yeah.
So he definitely had the one-on-one attention from his mom. And then whenever his dad wasn't working, I think the family quality time was very important. I know that he started having nieces and nephews when he was a teenager. So because his brothers were married and having kids.
Right.
So family was always very important. And I don't know. I don't know if that was just, I think that's just how it fell in place. But I think because a lot of people know that we don't, Andy and I do not agree on a lot of like major issues in the world, but we want to end up in the same spot. So even though we have to have very hard conversations on how we want to raise our kids and the decisions why we feel the way that we feel, we always want to end up in the same spot.
Yeah.
So how are we going to get there?
Yeah.
So I think it just fell. I don't know. I think I just always expected him to be like one-on-one with the kids and like a family guy. But if he's ever like, I'm gonna go game with Tim for 8 hours, I'm never like, I don't think that's gonna work out this weekend.
We did once play Destiny for 26 hours straight.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, he did. I loved it. See, I want him to have that time because I do make time for myself.
Yeah.
I like
What's important?
squeak it into the teeny tiny fractions of my day that I can do it. I squeeze it in. But he does, but he's like, I just want a game. I just want a game at home. And I'm like, well, it's just, you can't really do that during the day with the kids. It's just not.
Not while they're getting older, you can.
Yes, but our kids
I'm always
are not
like,
older.
why is Andy playing the worst games? I'm like, he's probably playing
It's
with
the
the family.
toddler. It's the toddler. Yeah, I mean, the middleest kid is his game bro. She calls Dad that's my best game bro.
That's awesome.
Dad's my best game bro.
So we've also covered that we know now that you have 3 kids.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When did that, as you guys transition, like kind of falling into married life, and it almost seems like you're realizing you align as you're going.
Okay.
Because a lot of this stuff doesn't come up casually in dating.
Yeah.
And a lot of that stuff that you learn as you go.
Yeah.
Because you're also evolving constantly as a couple and as
Sure.
individuals, so it's not really something you can talk about it in an interview.
Yeah, we knew that we both wanted kids and that we were into like the tradition, like we wanted to get married and have kids.
Yeah.
We wanted kids right away, but I won this honeymoon to Africa. And so when I won it, it had to be within certain dates. And if you're going to Africa, I don't know, I think you're required to get a set of vaccinations. And I didn't want to be pregnant and get those shots. So we waited, which was really unfortunate because when we went to go do our taxes after our wedding, we had to pay taxes on the trip. And the trip was so expensive, it bumped us into the next tax bracket. Yeah. And I'm like, the trip didn't include flights or food. It was like a $14,000 trip because it was just so extravagant. Like where we had like the location that the trip was going to be at. It was going to be amazing, but we just couldn't do it. So I had to forfeit the trip.
Really?
Yeah.
You had to pay the taxes on it?
No.
Okay, forfeiting it, or they did not have to do that?
Since we forgave it. So I asked them.
Yeah, an extra $14,000 worth of taxes. Oof, yeah.
So I reached out to the magazine. It was Bridal Magazine, and I reached out to the people we won the trip with. I'm like, is there any way we could get a flight credit, or if we could change when the trip is to get a cheaper flight, or if because breakfast was included, I was like, could we include lunch? Could anything? We really want to make it work. We really appreciate the prize, but is there any way that we could make it work? And they said no. The prize you won is the prize you won. Right. Take it or leave it. So I had to sign a form, but yeah, we had to forgive it. So we didn't have to pay the taxes because then we technically didn't have the trip in our possession. Right. Such a bummer.
That sucks. How did you win that?
I just entered through the magazine. Wow. When I got engaged, I went to a bridal show. I had bought like 10 magazines. I was so damn excited to get married to him. So we were planning like immediately. Like when we chose the date, I think we chose it January 5th or 6th, and Kelly DeGan was the bridesmaid, and I told her, she's like, girl, you needed to be planning that wedding last week. Let's go. So so I had gone to a bridal expo or bridal show or whatever, and I was like, oh man, there's all these contests, and I just saw in Bridal Magazine that you could enter to win a honeymoon. So I found out that I won. They just emailed me. I know. It was freaking awesome. It would have been incredible. Our guest book at our wedding was a picture of South Africa. It was a canvas poster, and everybody signed it. But
I didn't know.
We didn't
I didn't
go.
know about the trip. I didn't know that was the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been cool, but I'm like, it just wasn't meant to be. So we didn't start trying during that time in our marriage, and then when we ended up trying, it took over a year and a half to get pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we always wanted kids. It just took a long time. And then
Was
each
it
kid
only
thereafter took a long time.
I was say, was each one of them were
Each
kind of
of
a
them took
pain in
a
the ass,
long-
or
Yeah, so
Yeah. They're relatively close, aren't they? Within 3 years,
the
or no?
first two are 3.5 years
Okay.
apart, and then the second two are 3 years apart. So, and we
so, yeah.
tried the whole time. We tried that whole time. But I was breastfeeding the whole time.
It's always
as
funny
well.
to me, like when people talk about this in general. It's like we were trying the
We
whole
were
time.
banging constantly.
Like, let me tell you, when I said we were trying, holy shit, we were going at it.
when now that we've had 3 girls, when people are like, "Are you gonna try for a boy?" I'm like, "What position is that? Like, what do we need to do?"
It just makes me laugh because, like, when you sit here and be like, "Oh, we've decided to grow our family, we're trying," and people are like, "Oh, that's nice,
You're
awesome."
banging.
But when you're like, "Hey, I've been really, really giving it to my wife," people are like, "Whoa,
Inappropriate.
Come on,
man. We're at a Chili's.
It's just funny to me how our interactions as humans
It's
are.
hilarious. I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, no, we tried the whole time, but I extend it. I extend breastfeed. I never cut my kids off except for the older one. Finally had to cut her off. But yeah, so I think that had something to do with it. I think when you're breastfeeding, your body's like you're
It's a different
already
place, yeah.
facilitating a child.
We don't have no
Come
vacancy.
on.
Yeah, come on.
But yeah, I've been pregnant or breastfeeding since December 2015. But now I'm done.
Yeah.
We are done. Our family is complete. We are done. This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And like aside from like taking a while, like which is just happens sometimes.
Yeah.
You didn't have any problems with the actual pregnancy.
No.
Right? Everything was pretty normal.
I didn't have, during my first pregnancy, the first ultrasound with my oldest, they found out that my uterus was misshapen, so I was sent to maternal fetal medicine.
Really?
Yeah. They said, well, they're like, you're pregnant, so it's hard to tell because your
Yeah.
uterus is already starting to
Sure.
change, but we're going to send you across the hall. I think we went like immediately over there, and it did have a little dip.
Yeah.
So they said I have a bicornuate uterus, which can be shaped like a heart. So if you look at the shape of a heart, not a human heart,
The stereotypical. Right?
yeah, the babies either come out deformed or they don't go to term. And I'm like, oh,
Wow.
cool. But they're like, it's hard to it's hard to say that you have that for sure.
Right. It's also like you tell somebody and they're like, don't stress about it though.
Right. Just, yeah, you're not allowed to like freak out about anything while you're pregnant, which
Yeah.
let me tell you about grieving during pregnancy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
With Catherine. Anyway.
That was later though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're like, it's really hard to tell. It's such a small dip that we don't really see it being a problem. And my mom said, you are pregnant with this baby this one time, so love on that baby and enjoy your pregnancy.
That's a pretty incredible.
I know.
Like,
She's the best.
yeah.
The best. She is the best. Yeah, sorry I cut you off.
No, that's fine. I don't ever have anything important to say. That's true.
I'm glad you're I'm glad you're just the interviewer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what people that are like, you should do an episode by yourself. I'm like,
Nah.
no, I don't think that's true.
I don't think so either. No.
I wouldn't listen to
I'm
it.
kidding. I'm kidding. I'll interview you next time.
Everybody says that,
Maybe.
and I'm like, I don't know.
Maybe.
I like the idea of doing one myself where I interview myself.
Yes, please.
Just have 2 separate
That would be
mics.
amazing.
Yeah.
Do it. Just have the verbal prompts on,
Yeah.
like on the mic. Yes. Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea, Gina.
You just alluded to, was that your second pregnancy?
Okay,
then?
so no, that was my first one. And then I was seeing the midwives. We saw an advertisement for like a water birth class.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, yeah, I'll go to that with you. And we decided that, yes, we were going to go that route, but only the midwives do water births. So I started seeing a midwife, and they don't do ultrasounds past 25 weeks.
Right.
So I felt that the baby was the wrong direction. So they're supposed to be head down.
You felt that?
Yeah, well, because I felt her little fingers like tickling up by my ribs. And they were like, no, I don't think so. But they never did an ultrasound on me until I was 37 and a half weeks pregnant. So you're pregnant for 40 weeks.
That's 12 weeks. Later, yeah.
So my midwife comes in and she like barely touches my belly. She's like, oh, and she grabs the ultrasound machine and she's like, that baby is not head down. I'm like, okay.
Like, if only somebody knew this 12 weeks ago.
So yeah, she was not head down, and I did everything I could to flip her. There's like all these methods you could do at home. I went to the chiropractor. I felt her trying to move every single time I went to the chiropractor. Yeah. It was amazing, but she never flipped. They scheduled me for a C-section and did one more ultrasound to make sure she was still head down, or make sure that she hadn't flipped, and she hadn't. So we went forward with the C-section. So and then they were able to confirm that I did have a little dip in my uterus. Yeah. And they're like, maybe that's why she didn't turn. She also had the cord wrapped around her twice, so maybe that was why she didn't flip.
That's just why getting cozy.
Yeah, right? And I'm like, whatever. But so there were no big, she was born with hip dysplasia, but she was treated for that like right away, and she is fine. With the second baby, that was tough. I was probably...
So you had a C-section the first one?
Yes.
So you have a nice little door for the next two.
I did not use the door.
Really?
I've not used the door.
We didn't install something and then not use it.
Because I want to feel all the pain.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Let me rip my taint, please.
Oh, my gosh. Not completely.
That's good.
So I got pregnant 10 months after Catherine died, and you really have to control your shit because you cannot.
Yeah, that's tough though.
Yeah.
Obviously grieving is different for everybody, but like, not for nothing. It's been 6 years, and we can sit here and still bawl our eyes out over the slightest thing.
I cry all the time.
Like, it doesn't go away.
No, it doesn't go away.
It just becomes easier to...
Yeah.
Or you think about it less.
Yeah.
And then you get upset because you think about it less. Like,
oh my gosh.
It can really be a black hole for sure.
Yeah, I feel like when I told my mom recently, because this chunk of time is really hard every year. Like May to August is really tough. Because she was on oxygen. She was on oxygen for a few months before she died. So when I was pregnant, before I was pregnant, I was definitely self-medicating my grief. And people are like, how are you getting through it? I'm like, champagne and Xanax. Like, I just have to get through it.
It's hard too, because everybody wants to help.
There is no help.
There's not.
There is no help.
Like, I appreciate you being close to me.
Yes.
But, like, I promise you there's nothing you can do.
No. You can bring me food. For sure. That's nice. You can take my kid. Because grieving with a child, they're sharing. My oldest loved Catherine. And even though she wasn't, she was almost 2. Right. We saw her all the time. She lived down the street from us.
It's still nice, the gift of having those memories.
Of course.
But then it's also the tragedy of these other two are never going to know what that's like.
No.
And the first one's going to grow up and forget.
Yeah, it
because
sucks.
there's just, I don't remember
things.
Under 2. Right, exactly.
And all my kids say they love Auntie Catherine, but when you have a kid and you're just like balled up on the kitchen floor because you're cooking lunch and you're crying over your sister and your toddler's like, can I get a snack?
Yeah.
Like, get up.
Yeah.
She would come and hug me and stuff, but like,
there's almost something like funny about it in like that black comedy style.
Yeah, like the day after Catherine died, my oldest had an appointment, and I was like, I'll take her, and because like she was a family doctor, so I was like, if I need any medication, then she can prescribe it to me. So they're like. And I'm like, obviously had been crying for like a day, well, like for 2 weeks. Yeah. But she was like, I was like, my sister died. And she's like, when? And I was like, yesterday. She's like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, I'm having a hard time.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, your daughter's fine. Here's your prescription. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
But like, you can't take that medicine while you're pregnant. You really shouldn't be hyperventilating while you're pregnant. So that part was really hard. And like, I didn't really have anything go on with that pregnancy physically There was nothing. It was just hard because I had a toddler already, so I was just exhausted. But I did VBAC. Alex was my doula.
Really?
Alex Hugart. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, she was my doula. She was amazing. And then, my third one. Actually, after that pregnancy, immediately after, I got something called PUPS. It's PUPPS, and it's an itchy rash that goes from your chest to your toes. And
Really?
yeah, it was.
Is that pretty common?
Awful. It's not uncommon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it just a reaction to the whole situation?
Your hormones changing. It
Yeah,
can
yeah.
happen at the end of pregnancy or after. It was awful. It was so bad.
Yeah, that sounds
It
terrible.
was awful. And then the third pregnancy, I threw out my back like halfway through the pregnancy.
Perfect.
So I was using, I was crying in bed, Andy had to lift me so I didn't have to use my muscles.
Yeah.
And I had to use a cane, and they prescribed me painkillers. It was bad.
That's tough too, because I feel
bad.
like I wouldn't want to, you're in intense pain.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, I don't trust taking these.
Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah.
I stopped taking them.
Yeah.
And then they said it could have been a pinched nerve, so
Sure.
the pain did go away after a couple weeks, but I was taking the medicine and Tylenol because you can't take ibuprofen while pregnant.
Right.
So I set an alarm so I would take my medicine before I had a half hour to an hour before I had to get out of bed.
Yeah.
So I could use the bathroom. It was so bad. And I got PUPS at the end. So I did VBAC again, which is a vaginal birth after C-section. So I did that again. And then I got PUPS, that rash, at the end of my pregnancy.
I like the idea that they pulled a baby right past this door, and I guess we'll use this other door.
It's not convenient to Andy's. I was like, when I got pregnant again.
My mom always describes it as a little zipper.
I wish.
Like,
I wish.
We just open the zipper, and then it was already there from you, and then we just open the zipper for your sister.
Oh my word! They cauterize your skin.
Yeah, it's
and
wild.
Once you smell
That's
your
crazy.
own skin
Flesh burning together.
Yeah, so I opted to have the blue curtain up while they made the cut, and then a clear curtain when the baby came out.
Yeah.
So when the blue curtain was up, you could smell it happening, and Andy was like, "I'm gonna look out," and I grabbed his
You don't wanna
shirt,
do
and I
that.
was like, "Once you look, you can't take that back." And he's like, "I'm looking," and his eyes were like, "That was crazy," because they take out all your organs to get them.
Right. We have to get to this thing. Yeah.
Just put everything back. Yeah, it was ridiculous. But so I had that rash at the end of the third one, and everything just hurts. Everything just I was 38 or 9, so I was treated like a grandma.
Well, it's like a geriatric pregnancy.
It was second one was a geriatric pregnancy.
I was just talking to somebody else. It's really common lately. I've seen a lot of friends, and at one point it's impressive and awesome that they're able to have these safe pregnancies. But the other time it's it's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
To be pushing 40 and still pumping out kids.
Yeah, I'm done with that. I'm done with that. But yeah, that was rough. That pregnancy was super hard because Andy was like, if you want to have another, because I always wanted 3 or 4. He wanted 3. He's like, if you want 4, we'll have 4, or we'll try for 4.
Yeah.
But at the end of this pregnancy, I was like, I'm done. I cannot do that again. It was so hard on my body. And he's like, I respect that. So
I mean, it's a lot.
It was a lot. Even a good pregnant, all my babies were healthy.
Yeah. That's 9
I
years
was
though,
healthy.
right? Roughly 9-10 years.
Yeah, since December 2015.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, maybe if it was a little easier, we'd have more. But no. So no complications with the babies besides hip dysplasia and some jaundice.
Yeah, I think I had that when I was born.
Everybody has it. It's fine.
But those are simple things, right?
Yeah,
I think you just do the leg braces for a little bit when they're.
For the hip dysplasia, yeah, she had a hip harness for 4 months, and then they tried to put her. It's called a rhino brace. It's a hard plastic brace on the legs, and the doctor was like, "She's borderline. If she won't wear it, you don't have to make her wear it." So she hated it, and that was that. So we're actually in line to go see him again. She said her hips hurt after she's been dancing or roller skating for a long time.
Yeah.
But then she pointed to her ribs. I'm like, well, that just means you're breathing a lot. You're breathing hard. It's okay. That might be okay, but we'll see. I'll have her point it out again next time it happens. But no, I didn't have any issues. No, I had elevated blood pressure once, but no.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot going on in your brain
So
for some of
much.
that stuff.
I know.
So it's definitely tough. Do you find it, we kind of a little bit touched on it too, is trying to keep somebody's memory alive because life goes so fast and it just doesn't let up whatsoever. And especially having two kids that'll never meet Catherine.
Yeah.
How do you kind of keep her alive in the house, in the family?
There's pictures everywhere. We are so lucky. We don't have a ton of videos because like that having that on your phone, like the storage for that on our phones just wasn't prevalent. Easily accessed. But we have so many pictures, and we do still get together for her birthday and her the day she died that day. She has a brick in the park in downtown Oswego. So
Really?
whenever
That's awesome.
I know. I want to get one for tea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. It's at Hudson Park in Oswego. So whenever we're at that park, like, can we go see Auntie Catherine's brick?
Yeah.
So my middle child will say, like, I love Auntie Catherine so much. I'm like, I know. She's like, but I'm not gonna meet her, right? I'm like, no. So that's hard. But we have a lot of pictures. We do have some videos.
That's the kind of stuff that I love just the sheer wonderment and innocence of a kid.
It's the best.
But also like I'm being emotionally destroyed back here, but what you're saying is so beautiful.
I know, like it rips my heart out and also fills it so much. So it's someone, when I was pregnant with my second during that grieving process, like, but they're going to fill that part of your heart. I'm like, oh no, that's empty forever. Empty forever. It's just a new extra love in my life. I think we talk about her all the time. My kids are very smart, or I'll say like, oh, that's a real Catherine thing to say. That's a real Catherine thing to do. Some of the sass that I saw a lot from Catherine growing up, she used to like, when she was like saying no to my parents, she would kick one of her feet in or like out, like her heel out, and she had her hand on her hip and would point. And my middle did that. I was like, are you serious right now? Like, you never saw her do that. It's just like in your genes to act like my sister. So I'm like, oh man, Catherine used to do that all the time. We talk about her all the time.
I feel like those are those
Catherine's
comforting things
movie.
because it all comes from your parents, and they're like, so it's in there in the DNA. And when you start seeing it come out, it's like, to me, there's almost something comforting.
Yeah.
We talk about them as much as we can, but they're living on in other ways as well. That's just nice.
Yeah, she's here. She's here all the time. We talk about her constantly. And we see Dan all the time. So, Uncle Dan is still Uncle Dan to them. Yeah. So, and Veda is...
She's so much better than all of us.
She's way too cool to be in my presence. She's like one of the smartest, kindest, best people. I'm like, man, you really picked a good guy to date. I'm so happy you dated Dan.
I agree.
Man, we got to spend so much time with Dan and Veda. It was such a blessing. That was a huge loss when Catherine died. It was like we lost 2 family members. We lost 3 people. Yeah. So that was really hard. It is really hard.
Was Catherine cremated?
Yeah.
Did you guys do anything with that, or?
No, we split her ashes. So my parents have the bigger urn, and then Phil, myself, and Dan each got a mini urn. Yeah. So I have spread her ashes just here and there, like at a concert, or I spread some ashes at Two Brothers. That's where Dan and Catherine like made their debut as that they were dating at someone else's wedding. They're like, we're gonna go together. I'm like, yay! They've been spread in Cozumel. My parents bring her ashes while they travel, and I also bring mine when I go to concerts and when I travel. If it's somewhere she'd want to be. Yeah.
So you still kind of spread them throughout over the last 6 years.
Yeah.
So you still have some.
Yes.
Do you ever feel like this is my own personal experience also, because I still have some of Laura's ashes. And I've used them in tattoos and stuff like that.
Yes, I know. I want to do that too.
Yeah, which I think is amazing that's even possible.
Yeah.
But like part of me sometimes is like, I feel like I'm holding them back because I still have this.
Yeah.
I was curious if you like feel that, or if I'm just being crazy.
No, you're not being crazy. I've seen some people say like they've spread their ashes in their memory garden, and I'm like, oh, that's a really nice thought.
Sure.
So I have started buying some pieces for a garden. I'm like, this reminds me of Catherine. Not that I'm necessarily holding her back, but that I like, should I do like something?
It's almost like I should be setting them free.
Maybe.
You know, it's just funny the things we worry about here.
Yeah, like when I do it at the concert, I'm like, I hope some of your ears in there. It's so morbid, but at the same time, like she would laugh at that.
Yeah.
Oh man, no, because I mean, since we each have some of her ashes, I don't think I've ever felt that because even if I did put the rest of what I have out into the earth, if there would still be others existing.
Sense. Yeah, I guess I'm in that same boat too because I only have a small portion.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess it would just be symbolic.
Yeah.
If you did that, or
there's something very freeing about it every time you get to release a little bit or use them in any kind of way. It's like it's just cool to kind of put it out there.
Mm-hmm. Especially if it's not supposed to be there.
Yeah, it's definitely. Not, I like that people are like, oh, somebody must be having a cigarette. And you're like, no, that's just my sister.
Yeah. Yeah, we brought some to Jane Emily's wedding, and Dan and I spread some at the mountaintop there.
Nice.
Yeah, just. Yeah, I don't know. But each time I do it, it's like a teensy little bit.
Yeah.
Does this even count? Just a little pinch of salt right there.
I think it's true. It's one of those things that a piece doesn't lose. Like, it's still part of the whole. The smallest piece still has the same energy as the whole.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, there's certain crystals like that. Like, certain crystals are as powerful as the piece, relevant to size. Ooh. Other ones are... The smallest piece is as powerful as all that exists.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get into crystals. I haven't given enough. I have not set enough.
I can't wait till you have to have that talk with Andy.
Oh gosh.
Like, I know we alluded to like sometimes you guys bump heads, and Andy thinks very different than stereotypically most of us.
Nobody would look at punk rock Andy with his 6-inch mohawk and be like, that guy's a traditional dude.
Yeah. But one of the things that I admire a lot about Andy is he'll listen.
Oh, yeah. And discuss.
Because he can be a bulldozer and a bull, like we all can, and we'll bump heads and we'll fight and we'll scream and yell. But when we're actually talking, like, he will listen and be like, that makes sense. Or, I don't know, like... So you can actually have my favorite is getting him and Schmidt into a room together.
Oh, man.
And I've had many car doors slammed.
Really?
Like, ridiculousness.
Oh, man.
I love those two guys.
That's crazy. I got the good, having Schmidt and T at our house every week.
Yeah.
Seeing them together like that. Before they even did that podcast, he would just be cracking up on his headset. I'm like, can you put him through the speaker? I want to laugh too. But you guys are fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, we've been talking about doing a podcast. I'm like, I will listen every single week. You guys are so funny. Yeah, that's funny because they do get into it. They still do get into it sometimes, but like.
I think you have to. Like, you bump heads. The point is that we actually love each other beyond that.
Yes.
But we're also passionate about what we're talking about.
Yeah,
so I think it's okay as long as it doesn't, because we don't come to a place where like we want to hurt each other.
Yeah.
We come to a point of like, how can you not see my point of view?
Yeah. Well, and like, how do you have a 30-year friendship without a couple tips?
Right.
It's gonna happen.
Exactly. Yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I wish they would restart their show.
I support that as well.
Would be awesome.
Yeah, that was a bummer. COVID
COVID
was traumatizing.
It was. Part of me likes the idea of like it's almost like a clean slate of like pre-COVID and post-COVID.
Yeah.
But then I'm also like, so many things were lost in that shuffle.
It rocked our world because I was freshly postpartum. So it's my responsibility. These are my decisions. I'm a grown woman, but I do blame hormones and the media. I was terrified. Yeah. And we were
To be fair, the media really went out of their way to create something that may or may not have actually been true, right?
Yeah, it was, I have regrets.
I remember my mom, because I was talking to my mom too, and I'd be like this, I'm not saying there's not a problem. What I'm saying is like it's not as crazy as it sounds. Because I never stopped working. I worked the whole time, and I'm like, life's still happening out there.
Yeah.
And like she's like, the news is saying like the hospitals are overrun. There's bodies everywhere.
I know.
And then like she had to go to the hospital, and she would ask the nurses, and they're like, What? No. What?
No, we're fine.
Where are you seeing that?
Yeah. Yep. It's like if you go to a restaurant and they're like, oh, it's going to be just 5 minutes while this table gets cleaned off. And they're like, but there's 20 tables open over there. It's like, but we only have 2 servers.
Right. Yeah.
That's what it was.
You start seeing the behind the scenes.
Yes.
Because you don't necessarily know the big picture.
Right. That's what that was. Again, have my mom on. She's on the other side of that.
Well, yeah, that's probably true too.
Not in-house nursing, but yeah, she But yeah, I took it very seriously, and that was, I think, very detrimental to a lot of people in their lives. That was hard.
It was definitely a silly time.
It sucked. It was stupid. Well, I had like a fresh baby, so it was cool, like the first 2 weeks, because...
What point does the baby become not fresh?
When they have to stop going to appointments all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had like all these appointments scheduled and a toddler, and like Andy was back to work already. He did get great time off, but he was back to work, and I was like... Did
he start traveling again right away or no?
He stopped traveling before we had kids.
Oh, that's right.
He taught himself...
But the company was probably still traveling.
I know that a lot of conventions were shut down. They were shut down for a while.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of them took some really big hits. But since so many things went remote, they were still like busy.
Right.
I don't know, because they do. I don't know.
I don't know.
Have Andy on.
Yeah.
Andy, come to the show.
Yeah. Good luck, sir. He's always busy.
I guess. I don't know what he's doing with all that time.
Yeah.
Family man.
Loving his kids. What a
guess.
jerk.
I know, taking care of all of them right now. Yeah.
What do you guys think is next for you then?
For us, we're just surviving right now.
Yeah.
School's coming up. Yeah, it's...
Do you feel like you're just surviving?
Not
or
just
do you feel
surviving.
like you're thriving? Maybe just at
we are not at our thriving point because we are so... Like I said, like we are in the thick of it. And I know, like, I do talk to my mom about this sometimes, and she's like, yeah, you guys are just super hands-on. She's like, we just, like, put you in your bedroom and
I remember
made you go to bed.
2 hours ago, you explained that your mom basically told the neighbors, hey, don't let these kids die. I got stuff to do. Yeah,
we put all 3 children are put to bed one-on-one with one parent. So bedtime is a 2 to 3 hour ordeal.
Jesus.
And we're very hands-on. Like, Andy takes off work so that he can be there for the first, like he works from home so he can be there for the first day of school. He wants to be at home when she gets off the bus on the first day of school. It's like everything is very hands-on for us, and that's what we chose to do. So I think right now we're just like, not like in the weeds, but our kids are very young, so they're very physically needy.
Yeah.
And we're doing our best. I feel, as a mom, I feel like I'm constantly like failing or being a dick to my kids. Like, am I too lenient? I don't want to be too lenient with you because then you're going to be a dick. But I'm also like, I don't want to be mean all the time, but like, put your shit away.
Right.
I can't stand it. So I don't want to say that we're not thriving because I think as a family we're successful. Like we love each other. We love being together.
Sounds like you guys are evolving. You're navigating because you're coming to the next step. Like the kids aren't babies. Like the kids are growing. You guys are growing as a couple. Like everything's kind of shifting.
Yeah.
And you're all evolving separately and together.
Yeah.
Which is an amazing thing, and it's awesome to kind of be aware of that.
Yeah.
But it can be trying also.
It is trying. So I guess that's what it is. So I don't want to say that we're not thriving. We're doing our best. Yeah. But it's exhausting.
You guys are growing.
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, we're growing. So the youngest is like still, in diapers, like very needy, very tiny. So small. She's a small little toddler. So like I'd love to travel more as a family. It's a huge ordeal because they are all in car seats and it's always a thing. But yeah, I'd like to like get on the road with them and
but on one of those 2015 years when it's just checking out for the year.
Oh my gosh. Nah. I can't wait to show them the world, but like
like with them.
With that, I know, yeah.
That'd be cool.
Man, it'd be so fun. Yeah, I do. I do want to take them all over the place and do stuff with them. It's just, it's hard as a financially to.
Not for nothing. It's a pain in the ass to go to the grocery store with 3 kids.
I don't. And I don't. Thank you, COVID.
Right.
Curbside pickup, baby. That's the best. They're like, Mom,
is
are we
the
going in
best.
this time? Like, no, we're not.
Never again.
Never. Nope. I do grocery delivery from Walmart.
Yeah, it's not for nothing.
Best.
That's actually a really good deal.
Hell yeah.
They even emailed me once, and it was half off for the year.
That's what I did.
Dude, $50,
I know.
and I get free delivery for a year.
Free delivery.
Forget
okay,
it.
but do you do like the in-home delivery that's actually free with no tip?
No.
Okay, so you
What's
need
that?
to in-home delivery. Everybody, okay. If you want one of our links, click on the link. Tim will put it in So I explained this to a couple of people. So when you have the Walmart Plus, you can get hourly delivery. You can choose the hour, and that's an Uber or whatever, Lyft.
Yeah.
We'll deliver it for you, and you tip the driver. And that's great. That's a great option. But if you do in-home delivery, you choose a section of time. So it can be 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. about.
Right. See, I do that, but I feel like it still asks for a tip.
No, I don't think you tip because it's a Walmart employee.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that's probably true, because usually if I'm ordering it, I want it right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
That's a $10 difference.
For you.
Depending on,
For a family.
Right, I say if you're
That's
ordering
a lot.
$200 of groceries, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't want to tip you $40.
No.
I mean, I will.
That's funny. I've never thought about that, because I'm usually ordering like $30, $40 here and there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, $10 tip, garbage. But Jesus Christ, it jumps up pretty fast.
It does. It really does. And we have to be really what's the right word? I don't know. Choosy.
Yeah. Do you feel the need to tip well also as being a server?
I don't do it. I do in-home.
Well, probably you're avoiding it. I'm saying if you have to, you're like,
yeah, I tip 20%.
Yeah, I want to at least take care of this person.
Yeah, I tip them 20%, and that's a lot on groceries. So I don't do it. I've done it if all my kids are sick. And I'm like, I need infant Tylenol right now.
Yeah.
But
even that's like a 1 or 2 you keep it nice and $3 tip, no big deal.
Yeah, well, and when you have the Walmart Plus, you can place like a $10 order or something. Yeah. I don't know. It's easy. Easy,
not
guys.
for nothing. If you have the money, the Walmart Plus is
it's
nice.
so good. I went into because I'll just digitally shop. I'll just add stuff to my cart until I place an order. So I just went in the app once and it was like, hey, do you want to do Walmart Plus for $80? I was like, I do, but not at this very second. I need to add this into my cart. And then I had to mind the children. So then when I went back into the app, they're like, will you do it for $40? And I was like, yes, I will. So it just renewed for the regular price. And I'm like, I'll pay that forever.
Yeah,
forever.
definitely worth it.
Yes, totally.
It's almost like if I had it, because Prime is like $160 or $150 a year.
Man, yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. This is half the price, and I'm getting a lot more use out of it.
We use Amazon Prime for our photo storage, which is free. Everybody.
I'll say that.
It's free.
I think that's still free. I think you get more if you're a Prime member, but.
You don't have to be a member to have free photo storage? Tell me everything.
I don't know. Can you have a free Prime membership?
Well, what are you talking about?
Well, if you're saying...
Or it's included. It's included in the Prime
Well, that's
membership.
not free then. It's part of the...
It's part of the membership. Your Amazon Prime membership comes with free photo storage and then a limited video storage. So we pay for the extra.
And you know what also it comes with for free now?
What?
Grubhub Plus.
Yes, which
I actually
I'm not
use.
doing. Yeah, that's great. Again,
don't do it.
Good for you, bad for the family of 5.
Real bad for it's bad for a single person.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
But I mean, it's at least instead of $20 of tip and extra fees.
Oh my
it's only
gosh.
10. But it's still don't.
We were so ridiculous. One time we were gonna order Taco Bell delivery. It was 12:30 at night. We're like, let's get Taco Bell because the kids don't like it. He's like. $46. I'm like, holy shit. And I looked up the menu online. I'm like, what are we ordering? I'm like, it's $23 to get that delivered here? I'm like, I'm going. Forget it.
Yeah. Nothing will make you feel like I'll just leave and go get it. Like that. Because also they changed the menu prices.
They do.
It's almost, I don't know if it's based on peaks, kind of like the drivers thing. But at sometimes it's very different pricing.
And $1 or $2 an item, that's so ridiculous. But sometimes, a couple weeks ago, I brought the older 2 kids to Six Flags. Yeah. And because they can do 20 things there.
Oh, nice.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's very cool. So Andy stayed back with the younger one. And he's like, I think I'm going to order whatever. And I was like, you deserve it. And I look, I'm like, that's a lot of money. But yeah, it's hard taking care of the one kid.
The worst is when, like, I think one time I ordered a Blizzard years ago, and I was paying like $26 for a Blizzard. And I'm like, I can see the Dairy Queen if I look out my back window.
No.
What an asshole I am.
That's bad.
Yeah, but like, I get, like, if I'm doing stuff, I'm like, I keep doing this stuff. I value my time so stupid.
JK was over and he ordered a Blizzard. I think it might have been, I don't remember when it was, but like, and then I got home with the kids and his eyes got really big. He's like, I ordered ice cream. I was like, okay. He's like, before you got here, I didn't know you were going to be here. I was like, well, they're going to have to just pull up their pants and be big kids.
Yeah.
Just going to have to deal with your delivered ice cream, you grown man.
Yeah. Jason and I pretty much enable each other.
Oh, man. Splurge once in a while.
Once in a while is fine, yeah. But drive there. Don't get caught up in the apps.
No, just drive.
They hurt the businesses too, actually.
Oh, man.
Like, the more you learn about them, like, it's just bad news in general. It's convenient, sure, but yeah.
It is. Well, and like if we're both drinking and we're like, let's get Taco Bell, like,
sure, yeah.
$46 is way cheaper than a DUI, and we're both gonna stay alive, so we'll just get that delivered.
And you're not gonna even kill anybody else, probably.
Right. So like, but no, if it's just like a random Tuesday night, like, I'll just go get it.
Yeah.
But no, we're not eating out nearly as much anymore either. Inflation.
Yes, inflation does exist.
Yeah. Let me tell you.
Yeah. I think we've covered everything.
We've covered everything.
I'm trying to think. I'm like, I don't think there's any
nothing
stone
left
unturned.
No.
We didn't really talk about when you sold your condo, and then you guys bought the new house.
That was not at the same time.
No. Where did you guys live?
We lived in the house, the current house. We rented out the townhouse for a couple of years.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. My mom went to go buy a boppy pillow, which is like a breastfeeding pillow, like a curved pillow. She found it on Facebook Marketplace. I was pregnant with my first, and she went to pick it up, and the woman said, if they need anything else, let me know. And Mom said, yeah, they need a house. And she's like, oh, really? Because my husband is getting like an out-of-state job, and we had a really bad experience with a realtor.
I hate this story so much. Because your mom's being a smart ass, like she does. And then literally you dickheads fall right into this amazing house.
Yeah, and they didn't use a realtor because they had a bad experience the time before. Yeah. So we went to the tippy top of our budget, and since they weren't paying a realtor. Realtors are awesome. I am one. If you need one, reach out. Click the link below. So they got to come down on what they wanted. So we got the house. We barely made it into that neighborhood. Barely.
Right. Now, again, you were adamant before we got on, that is not Boulder Hill.
It's not Boulder Hill.
Even though it's in Boulder Hill.
I tell people we live in Boulder Hill.
Shit, which Andy does not appreciate.
Well, he's a factual man. He's like, it's not Boulder Hill.
It's just not. Crazy, like, that the line has to literally run just around that house.
Yeah. No, but his parents, if you guys know Andy, his parents are in the same place. His mom rode her bike over.
That's awesome.
I know.
It is a nice little town. I mean,
it is. It's a great
I would feel
community.
better knowing that I didn't live in Boulder Hill. So that helps, I think.
Oswego is special. Whatever anybody wants to say about it. It's a very special place. It is home.
No matter where we end up or where we go, it is still home.
It is.
And there's something about coming back to that here and there.
Yeah, if you want to leave, that's fine. We're always going to be here. I encourage everybody to travel and experience other things and live in other places. That's I'm open to living in other places, but if we're not moving out of this state, we're not moving.
Yeah. Do you think you'd leave the state? It does seem kind of pointless to leave the area if you're going to stay in the state.
Yeah.
There's not really a better part of Illinois.
Well, There's places with lower taxes.
For now, sure.
For now, yeah.
But still, in general, Illinois taxes are a joke.
Yeah, we have what? What was that?
Illinois taxes in general are a joke.
It's ridiculous here. Yeah. No, we would move out of state, but for now, both sets of grandparents are very close. Yeah. And my brother has a newer baby, so his family's young. I don't think we're leaving. for a long time. He'd like to live in, like, our house is not cool. Like, it's not a good layout. It was built in the 70s.
Yeah.
The house next door to us was built by the OHS woodshop class.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah, if that house ever goes up for sale, that is, like, probably solid.
Yeah.
But, like, it's not a great layout. It's low ceilings. It's not aesthetically pleasing, but it fits our whole family. It has all the space that we could ever need. I'm okay with being there until our youngest graduates high school. But Andy's like,
how long
you
guys live there now?
It will be 8 years in October.
Is it really been 8 years?
Yeah.
So I've never been there.
That is wild. Really? We had the podcast party?
I don't even know where it's at.
You weren't there for my birthday party?
Nope. I've never been to that house.
That's
In fact, all of our
silly.
friends that have migrated back to Boulder Hill, I've never been to any of their houses.
It's weird being an adult.
It kind of makes me
party like that
well, yeah,
anymore,
well, it's weird out because like even if we do, I don't show up a lot.
Yeah.
Because I'm whatever, because my life's just great, guys.
Tim's doing fine over here. Wait till his interview. Click the link.
Yeah, but you know what I want to touch on is we've covered that you're not necessarily a career-driven person, more of a life liver. Yeah. But you are a real estate agent.
I am a real estate agent.
And how did you get into that?
I got pregnant the second time. I was nannying at the time, and I said, man, I don't think I can do this with an extra child. It makes sense in my head, and like everybody said, if you're already taking care of your children, just take care of other people's children. But like you have to factor in, really, this family was great, and my kid got along with their kids, but like nap time, a brand new baby, they all can't fit in my car now. I was driving my Honda Civic.
But you can also bump heads because there's a lot of different parenting ideals.
Yeah.
You might not have even noticed until you had your own, and then you're like, oh, I'm this kind of parent. Yeah. Not this kind of parent.
Well, I didn't nanny until I was well into motherhood.
Right. But you worked in like preschools, so you worked with kids.
I did, but not while I had my oldest.
Right.
So
but
when
at least you're subconsciously, at least you're building an idea of
always,
how you would interact with kids.
Yeah, I always liked working with kids. I became a nanny. I was selling health supplements, and I did not want to talk about how healthy I was after my sister died. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to check in with anybody and see how healthy they were. And I was like, forget it. I'm done with this. And I want to work somewhere where nobody knows me and nobody knows why I'm so sad and nobody's going to ask me how I'm doing. Yeah. So I'm like, I'll be a nanny. And I worked with a great family. But yeah, when I got pregnant with my second, it just didn't make sense to me. So during my pregnancy, I started studying real estate. And then it took longer than I wanted. I really wanted my license before I had her, but I just wasn't grasping the material. So I finally did, and I finally got my license, and I got it in 2020, and it was insane. It was incredible. I learned so much so fast. It was like an entirely different market that nobody had ever seen. Yeah. It was wild. It was crazy. And then I had my third, and things kind of slowed down. It's hard. It's hard with
I feel like
kids.
It's nice, though, because it's something you can kind of, to an extent, do leisurely.
Yes.
Like, when it's hot, and you got to be in it. Yes. But it's like, you're going to get out of it what you put into it.
For sure.
And so when you have the time, boom, you can do that. Yeah. And when you need to pull back a little bit, you can also do that.
Yes.
So that's kind of nice.
Yeah. I told Andy, like, I don't really have time to, like, door knock, which is what I was doing. Yeah. Yeah. So that's my jam. Like, I'm good door to door. I love talking with people. I'm great on the phone. I enjoy. How long is this interview? 48 hours. I am a talker. I'm comfortable talking with people. So that was never an issue, but now it's a time issue. So, I'm still, thank goodness my friends and family love me. So I'm working upcoming with my friends' parents who are selling their house. But other than that, like I don't have like strangers calling me, or I'm not calling strangers. So it is, but you're right. When you want to be in it, you're in it. When I have time, I'm in it. So, but right now, I work super part-time. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is good. Like,
good.
It's what you guys need also to be able to live the lives you guys are living.
Yeah. We want a parent to be at the house all the time, and, just a a minimal amount of I don't want to make it sound any kind of way. I need to be putting in some kind of income into the house,
Sure,
but it doesn't need to be X amount every 2 weeks. So
do you feel that, like, obviously just fiscally that's needed, and just so you guys can survive, but do you feel that you want to, not that you're keeping track or keeping score, but do you want to feel like you're bringing something as well?
No.
You don't have that at all?
No.
Nice.
No, because childcare for my 3 kids is $1,000 a week in our area.
Fair enough. So no matter what, so you're already providing a free $1,000.
Yeah.
So everything else is just gravy on top.
Yeah, because I've talked about it with Andy. Like,
that is a real thing that I feel like is overlooked. Like, not for nothing, where people are, no matter who's staying at home or who's who can adjust their schedule,
right?
That's a huge savings.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, and I'm not anti-daycare. I worked in one for years. It's just, am I realistically, like, am I going to make 6 figures? Because then we could pay for daycare. But if I'm going to make $60K,
right,
with 52 of that going to daycare,
right,
I don't know about that.
Right. Well,
is that worth it for our family?
You could make 6 figures, but the investment you'd have to put into your career
Yeah.
would take all this other stuff away,
Right.
and it's just the trade-off's not there.
Yeah, and I've talked with Andy about that. Like, do you want me to be working outside of the house? I'm okay. You want me to go pick up a couple shifts at Chili's? I'll do that. I can do that. And he's like, nah, not really. So I budget, and he hates that, but
Yeah, but it's also the only reason you guys have what you have.
yeah, I mean, I'm like, we are rich in family and love, and I'm not gonna say we're paycheck to paycheck, but like our priority is being home with the kids, and we're okay.
I think that's a good place to land this conversation.
Okay.
Because I feel
You're like, get out of here, please.
No, not at all. Because I feel like that's embodies your guys' whole relationship and everything. This is a family-focused thing. I feel like you came from a family-focused place, both of you separately, and have really cultivated that and are really building that now in your own family. And I think that's awesome. Some of us might not understand that emotionally, but at least I can admire it and be like, oh, that probably is way better than what I grew up in.
Oh, and that's, we just want to be there for our kids and do our best.
That's all any of us can hope for.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for finding the time and coming and sitting down with me.
Thank you for having me.
We'll catch you next time.